Welcome everyone, this is On Just Restart. I am joined by Brandon from What About Nintendo, and perhaps later we will also be joined by Shifty from I Am Shifty as well. The links to both of their channels will be in the description below. I still haven't done the whole podcasting on other platforms yet. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I keep on procrastinating that. So if you are listening to this elsewhere, hello. We're on YouTube. Check us out. But we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff today, right? I didn't expect this much information to sort of like be ready to discuss, but there's a lot. So I'll just briefly go over the topics here. So first we're going to talk about Luigi's Mansion 3 because we got another floor demo at Gamescom. But while we talk about this during this topic, we'll probably show in a couple other things we saw at Gamescom. Like we got an update on how The Witcher 3 is going to look, for example, right? And we saw a little bit more about Link's Awakening. So we'll talk about that stuff. Then we'll be talking about Astral Chain because it's coming out later this week. Reviews are coming out. Last I checked, it has an 88 on Metacritic. It might have gone down to 87, but basically it's somewhere between 87 to 89 range on Metacritic, which is really, really good, okay? Like, an 87 on Metacritic doesn't mean it's an 87 game, in my opinion. It means it's a little higher because you always have those outlier reviews, right, that push it a little further down. But basically, point is 87 on Metacritic is really good. But we'll talk more about Astral Chain in a little bit. Brandon, I know you didn't play the Dragon Quest XI demo yet, but there was a demo that came out this week for Dragon Quest XI. I started today, actually. I put it in about an hour and a half, and I'm actually really liking it. So we're going to talk about that. Brandon, maybe you could kind of ask me questions about it during that, so, you know, that way it's an actual discussion because you haven't played it, but there's probably some things you want to know about, so I'll try my best to answer them, and we'll talk about that for a bit. And this fourth or second to last topic kind of goes into the final topic, but we have pseudo confirmation that Overwatch is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Finally, we've been predicting it for a while, or at least I think you've been predicting it, Brandon, right? I've been predicting it for a while, but like it's just,
we've talked about it a lot.
It just hasn't come up
thought
yet.
It was inevitable.
Right, it is inevitable, as it seems we were thinking, because we now sort of have pseudo confirmation of that, sort of, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But that also sort of comes alongside additional evidence for a Nintendo Direct. So we're going to be talking about that, the Watermelon Mario, the GameStop retail leaks. We're going to talk about all of that today and what we sort of think is happening. So we have a lot to talk about, a lot of speculation, a lot of excitement, a lot of hype. It's going to be a good time. And yes, Shifty may be coming in later into this discussion. It could be moments from now. It could be an hour from now. I don't know. But he may also be here. So we're going to be talking about all of that. But before we do, Brandon, I'm going to be checking with the chat, saying hello to people, seeing how they're doing. Why don't you let everyone know how you are doing while I read through some stuff?
Yeah, I've been doing good. Today, all I did, like literally all I did when I woke up, and I've just been pouring into video, just working on videos, writing scripts, recording stuff. So this week, I'm going to have a lot more videos than previous weeks. I mean, it's not going to be like a bunch. I'll probably have 3 videos, but I'm working on it, and I'm also working on videos for more weeks so I can be efficient and make sure to get out videos more consistently. So I've been working. Today was just all the grind, the YouTube grind. So you can definitely expect some good videos coming out on the channel soon. Some that I've been wanting to talk about for a while tomorrow, and specifically a Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel related video, so that's gonna be fun.
Oh, I thought you were gonna finally talk about the mole you have on your face. I don't know.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
No, that's next week.
It's been a topic that you've been waiting to discuss for quite a while. Yeah. Good. I'm glad. Again, guys, Brandon's channel, the link to it is in the description below. He covers Nintendo as well, so make sure to check him out. Since, I don't know, you brought something up, and I guess I'll just bring it up too. Like a week or so ago, I noticed that I'm at over 1 million lifetime views.
Nice.
Yeah! No, I'm actually kind of excited about this, right? Like, everyone, okay, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people like to sort of celebrate all of the milestones, yourself included, and I'm not saying that's not important. I think there is value in that, but I try not to get too excited. I bring it up sometimes, like, oh yeah, I hit 3,000 subs, yay, woohoo, but like, it's just kind of one of those things where, like, the amount of subscribers you have doesn't necessarily correlate to success, right? So when I see that number, I'm not like thinking, oh, I've made it. I don't think like that. I'm thinking more like, okay, are my videos reaching a lot of people? Are people enjoying them, right? So when I see the number, oh, you've had over 1 million lifetime views, that's kind of exciting to me because that's very telling that I have reached a lot of people. And if, for whatever reason, something were to happen, nothing's going to happen, I feel like I've at least done something with this channel, right? I've gotten 1 million hits. I've seen a lot of people have seen my content, and that makes me really happy. So for those who have watched this stuff, who still watch this stuff, thank you. I really appreciate it. I do kind of feel a little warm inside when I see people watching. That makes me happy. So thank you. Awkward conversation to the side. Let's see how everyone else is doing. Brandon is planning my murder, by the way. He did not deny. You see, he did not deny it. He's just like, oh, don't. I'll just. Brandon, are you actually gonna kill me? Oh man, it's even worse. He froze. His camera froze. His camera froze, and no, my internet did not go down. No, I'm still alive. Brandon's not. Hold on, let me see if I can fix the Brandon situation. Nope. Hold on, let me see something. Brandon's done. Yeah, it seems like something happened on his end. I'm gonna give him a minute to see if he can figure it out. I think. Maybe I can re-invite him. I don't know. This is so silly. Now my camera's not working. You guys can see me, you can still hear me. I see everything working on OBS. It's just Discord's kind of crashing right now. Give me a second. Let me see if I can move this to the side. I will address everyone in the chat momentarily. I just need to see if I can fix this Discord issue. Damn it, Discord. Google Hangout dies, so I have to rely on Discord, and now it's not working either. Let me see if I just can call him back. If that'll work. Looks like Discord's dying. Now how can I get Brandon in here? Hey, Brandon.
Now?
It is, but it looks like we have to reset everything.
Huh.
Yeah. You're blue.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Nothing happened on my end.
Yeah, I don't know.
Everything was still working.
Yeah,
Must
we're
have
still
been on
alive,
Discord, so.
just for the record.
Right.
So when Shifty is here, I will have to add him retroactively or something, but when that happens, I'll just shoot him a message and then we'll get on the way here, guys. So just give me a second. I blame Discord for everything.
Yeah, that was definitely
Bastards.
Discord. I thought maybe your internet went out, and I
Nope.
was like, maybe my internet went out, but no, it's fine. I was like looking things up, making sure it still worked. So that was weird.
Yeah. But we're good now. Everything's back on track. So let's get back on track, right? So let's see how people are doing in the chat. Super Chris, hello. Josh S, hello there. He's saying, hey guys, Mario Kart Tour launches next month for the mobile phone. So I saw something on Twitter. I haven't read it yet, so I'll look into that. I'll probably read it with you guys right now so you can see my reaction to probably something I'm not excited about. We'll see, but it's a mobile game, so I just don't tend to get excited for those things. Sinus Joe, hello there. Sabbath64, what's up? Tracer for Smash, you say, Sinus Joe. That's an Overwatch character,
Yeah.
right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, actually, it might. That's it. Oh God. Yeah. Oh man, that makes a lot. Oh, it really does make a lot of sense actually. Is Tracer a female? I don't know. I don't play Overwatch. Okay.
Yes. I'm not sure exactly who Tracer is. I know it's a female, but I don't remember.
I just feel like there's been a lot of male.
She's on the cover. For the game. She's like the main.
Oh, like one. Here's the thing. I don't know anything about Tracer or Overwatch. Like, I mean, I know it's a hero shooter, right? I've had some mild interest in trying it out eventually. Right now, I probably will because it's coming to Switch. But it is a very popular franchise, right? A very, very popular franchise with some characters that I guess are at least fairly iconic, right? A lot like Joker from Persona 5, right? Not so many Nintendo fans have gone into that. Some, yes, because, you have the 3DS games. But not a huge number of them. And I could see this making sense, because it's a popular franchise that has a legacy that's been going on. And it's something that would work. I could see this happening. I honestly could. So, we'll just let my brain sort of process this for a minute while we're gonna revisit this tonight. We are revisiting this tonight. Sinus Joe, you might be right. Tracer I can kind of see it. Stab64, I've actually been wanting to try Overwatch, so if it comes to Switch, I'll definitely buy it. Until then, I'm stuck playing Paladins. At least Paladins is free, correct? I tried it out at first. It was okay. I enjoyed it a little bit.
It's pretty good.
Brand the Stallion just added me, "Hey Andres, I know this isn't gaming related, but I just thought I'd share my excitement with you. Next Sunday I'm going to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. You are insanely excited. You should be insanely excited. I have yet to go to Six Flags. I am actually from Miami, so I've been to Orlando a few times, so I've been to Disney and Universal. I love those parks. Busch Gardens is actually, which is in Tampa, it's pretty close to Orlando, is one of my favorite parks because it's basically like a giant zoo and a whole bunch of really crazy fast roller coasters. So it takes the two things I love and put it together, and I really like Busch Gardens, but I'm also excited to go back to Universal relatively soon. I might have to wait a couple years if I want to see the Nintendo aspect. They're always adding like different like parks and stuff to Universal. In fact, I think they're opening a whole new Universal park that's going to include the Nintendo world. So that's really, really interesting to me. But I also want to check out Six Flags as well. I was going to go this summer. We had like a ticket situation. We might have gone like free tickets. It didn't work out. It was like raining and thundering the entire time, so the park it's not open for that. But it's exciting stuff. So I hope you have a good time, Brandon. Brandon the Stallion, not you, Brandon. I hope you don't have a great time.
Yes, I'm gonna have a terrible time. This is planned.
Yeah. Hello there, Villbeard. You are a gentleman indeed. He called this gentleman. He said knight gentleman. Yes. Mark Jacobs, what's up? Solo Jones. He's asking, what if the watermelon tweet is a hint at a Sunshine style in Mario Maker? That would be
interesting.
Disappointing.
I feel like people would like Galaxy mode more. Everybody's asking for Galaxy.
Right. I think Galaxy makes a lot of sense because Galaxy even has a 2D perspective in the Galaxy games, right? So I would say Galaxy makes more sense as a theme. Sunshine would just be different. Like if it was like if Sunshine if they wanted to add like flood mechanics in a 2D aspect, I would be for that. I'm not saying I wouldn't be for that. Cool. But I'm just saying, like, if I had to predict the next theme for Mario Maker, it's probably Galaxy, because Galaxy has already had that 2D style, right?
I think Galaxy, you can probably do more with that than
like if I rank
Sunshine.
It in terms of likelihood, Galaxy, because of the gravity physics. That's a great point, Brandon. The gravity physics, Galaxy style for Mario Maker first, then Odyssey style, maybe throw in Cappy mechanics, right?
That'd be
and
awesome.
Then Sunshine, like that's like the third one. Actually, maybe even put Mario 64 like in front of that. So
yeah,
I just don't think it's really likely.
It's not too likely in my opinion. Could happen though.
Yeah.
Nintendo they crazy. They do stuff you don't expect.
Right. And for the record, I don't think the tweet is in reference to a Mario Sunshine remake. I want a Sunshine an HD remake in the vein of a Wind Waker HD. Right, like I think the game looks beautiful. Granted, actually, it might need a little bit more of a graphics overhaul than Wind Waker, because Wind Waker, you don't really need to do that much to the textures, right? And like I feel like the polygons, like how things were shaped in Wind Waker, ages better. Sunshine, it was more of a deep, because Wind Waker's cell shaded, right? So like a lot of the textures are very simplistic. Right, by design, so it ages better. They don't have to invest as much into like I don't know too much about the nuanced stuff, but my point is that Sunshine has like an art style. Some aspects of it don't age as well as Wind Waker, so there's going to be more needed to be done for it to look as great as Wind Waker, you know, when enhanced for an HD version. Kind of like with Twilight Princess, actually. Twilight Princess had probably a lot more work done for it to look better, and it still looked worse.
So did.
Yeah,
because all the textures are in Wind Waker the exact same. They're just 1080p textures, or high res textures. I don't know the exact resolution, obviously, instead of the lower resolution textures using GameCube, but they look exactly the same.
Right.
Like Twilight Princess, they had to completely re-art them. Like they don't look the same at all.
Yeah. So
that might be the case, though. I do think I have played Sunshine in an emulator at 1080p and held up really, really well, actually. So I don't know if they'd have to do too much. I think it'd be more of a Wind Waker style. I think it holds up really well.
I think it would be easier to make it look better than Twilight Princess.
I would be fine if they just did a Wind Waker HD style, because I think the game actually holds up really well.
I just think they need to brush up like some of the character models. Like Mario's character model doesn't look that good, because I've played it. I've emulated it on Dolphins too, and the Mario model doesn't hold up very well.
Yeah, they might change that out.
But it's like, my point simply is that it would take a little bit more work than they did for Wind Waker HD, but not a lot more like what they needed to do for Twilight Princess HD.
Right.
So I think it looked great. I want it to happen, but just going back to my point, based off the watermelon tweet, I don't think Sunshine HD is happening. Because it brings up both Odyssey and Sunshine. Why bring up Odyssey and Sunshine? It could be just a harmless tweet, right? But I think it is teasing something at this point. Maybe I'm just buying. I could very well be buying into the hype train, guys. So let's just take it with a grain of salt. But I actually think they're teasing the next sequel to Mario Odyssey. That's because, one, I mean, you agree with me, Brandon. That's probably been in development for a while already. It's probably coming out next year. The September Nintendo Direct, the one just like last year, revealed multiple games for next year. They revealed Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion, arguably the second and third most important games for Nintendo's holiday season, right? Or at least at the time, that's what they were planning, because Animal Crossing was probably going to come out in December, right? So they revealed two big games, the October and, at the time, probably the December game at the last Nintendo Direct last year in September, right? So what if they're also planning something that big for this Direct, where they're going to announce multiple end-year 2020 games, right? That could include a Mario Odyssey. Because Luigi's Mansion 3 is taking up the Odyssey slot from 2017. It's coming out in October.
I forgot that game did come out in October.
Yeah, it came out in October. Exactly. So I think there's a was before the whole watermelon thing and the hype train and all these different things coming out about Nintendo Direct, I wasn't thinking for sure Mario Odyssey 2 would be revealed at the Direct, but now I'm thinking, ooh, maybe. I thought it was possible, I just didn't think it was likely. Now I'm thinking it might be likely. But again, I could just be like really like jumping into the boarding the hype train here, I am biased, I got the confirmation bias, so take it with a grain of salt. Don't really assume it's happening, but I think it's possible, and not just I think I'm done. You know what I think, right? Just don't.
We do have a whole topic we're going to discuss this.
Yes, we're going to go into more detail very soon. Thank you for the congratulations, Sabbath64. Josh S. Well, it's podcast 9. Yeah, we're on podcast 90. Yeah.
Maybe 100, boys.
Yeah. Vilbeard
We should
saying
get 100 before the year's over, right? I don't know.
that would be 10.
For some reason.
That would be 10 weeks. So
Yeah. So for sure.
Assuming we stay the course, yes.
It's like 2.5 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what? Oh, I thought you were saying there's 2.5 months left in the year. I was like, no. Brandon.
No.
Your math is very bad. No, 2.5 months would be 10 weeks.
Me big dumb.
Yeah, you're right. We're going to hit 100 before the end of the year. Absolutely. In fact, let me do the math real quick. All right. So, because my birthday is October 29th. So next week would be the first week of September. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we'll be close, but it'd probably be like the beginning of November when we hit the actual podcast number 100. So not quite my birthday, but close. Josh is asking, do we have a special podcast Discord DM? It's a private DM between me and Brandon. It's a video chat on Discord, basically. Google Hangouts was disbanded. Like, they're no longer running that anymore. So currently, this is the best podcast solution we have.
Yeah.
If you guys have any suggestions, let me know for other podcast platforms. But this may be it's what we've been using the last couple of weeks. I hope I find a better solution. But I mean, it works. Although when the Discord crashed earlier in the podcast, I was a little upset about that.
That was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as good as Google Hangouts, but maybe they'll update it. Maybe we can give them some feedback, try to get it be a bit better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully. Maybe because more people are going to be using it now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be more of a demand to get it running better. But normally Discord doesn't crash like that. I was surprised.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, but things happen. Technical difficulties. When you go live, that's just kind of,
Yeah.
It's part of the business, part of the beast. So, I'm going to continue on the chat here. Yeah, Sabbath. We're all waiting for Super Nintendo World.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Stallion actually responded to what I was talking about in terms of the parks and Six Flags. He's saying it's a theme park and a zoo combined, as well as a bit of an aquarium. Well, I probably should be going there then. Yeah.
I love aquariums. It's so fun to go to those.
Computer robots. This is a question to everyone in the chat, but I'll just highlight it. Guys in the chat, what makes you think that Super Mario Odyssey 2 is going to happen? Like, Nintendo might tease a few things here and there, but I don't think it's actually going to happen. Well, we're going to talk about that ourselves, obviously. But guys in the chat, feel free to share your thoughts. I'm dying, as usual. Little Squirt, hello there. I mean, if Odyssey 2 is not announced soon, I actually originally expected Odyssey 2 to be announced next E3 as well. Sabbath. That's what I was kind of thinking. NAK, hello there. How you doing, man? Yeah, I mean, Sabbath is saying, I feel like it's still too early to announce anything for an Odyssey sequel. It could be too soon,
Maybe.
I think it might not be too soon, right?
Right.
And like I said before all of this hype and the watermelon tweet and the different pieces of evidence suggesting an Nintendo Direct, I wasn't thinking that it would be happening until next year as well. But, as evidence presents itself, sometimes we have to change our opinions.
Yeah.
And my opinion hasn't fully changed. I'm just now thinking, it could happen. But we'll get into that eventually. Tonight. It's happening.
Yeah.
Science Joe. Well, Mario Galaxy came out in 2008 and got a sequel 3 years later.
I thought it was 2 years.
I think it was 2007 it came out, and Galaxy 2 was already out worldwide 2010. But it was a 3-year gap.
Mario Galaxy
I
was
think
2007.
It was a 3-year
November
gap.
2007. And then Mario Galaxy 2 was 2010. So
Yeah.
3 years.
So
You're
yeah.
just off by a year there.
But you're right, it is a 3-year gap. So, Odyssey 2 coming out holiday 2020 or October 2020, and it would be 3 years after Odyssey 1. And if it's a sequel, I mean, they're using the same engine, 3 years, totally feasible. I could see it happening. Yeah, I could see that happen. In fact, I feel like Odyssey didn't even take that long to develop. I have to double check when, but I mean,
Remember when they started that?
when did 3D World come out?
Wasn't that like 2014, 2015?
I mean, if it was 2015, I mean, even if it's 2014, that's 3 years.
Pretty sure it was holiday.
2013 it might have been.
Oh, it was 2013. It was 2013.
Okay, so 2013 is actually 4 years before Odyssey's released. But assuming they jumped straight into development, they had to build a whole new Odyssey engine, right? But since that engine's already been made, the idea of creating a sequel with that engine in 3 years is reasonable because they already made the engine, right? That's part of the job.
When they showed it off in January 2017, didn't they say the game was pretty much done? They were just optimizing it further?
We did hear that, yeah, the game had been basically done for a while as well.
Which
so
makes sense because when we first saw it, it was 720p. It had more frame rate issues. The end game had a small frame rate hiccups, but
I mean, Odyssey was
ended up being a higher resolution and better frame rate than when it was first shown off.
I would say Odyssey is probably one of the most polished Switch games. It may even be the most polished Switch game. I can't think of anything that I would say has more polish than Odyssey, actually.
I'd have to think about it. Maybe there are a few frame rate hiccups in the game, especially in New Donk City.
I mean, like...
But yeah, it's definitely more polished than like Breath of the Wild.
When you say frame rate hiccups, like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying, like, they're not, like, super noticeable to the casual eye. You know what I mean? Like,
I noticed them, but I also am very picky about frame rate.
Right. But my point simply being that I just feel like it's a nitpick.
It definitely is. It doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It's just kind of annoying.
Right. So, but, for example, Breath of the Wild and the Korok Forest, that's fairly noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But just look at other games, like maybe Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is more, you could consider like maybe more polished than Odyssey.
That game could be considered to be more polished.
But it's also like a tried and true formula. Like Smash for Wii U was already like, you know, running 1080p 60 with 8 characters on screen. So, you know, Odyssey, I just...
There are ways to tank the frame rate in Smash. For example, if all 8 characters are playing as
Ice Climbers.
Couldn't
do that on Wii U.
Oh, what's that one that was brought over from Melee that has like the reflective pool? That stage, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You mean
Fountain of Dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah, the frame rate goes down to like the 40s.
It's such a beautiful stage.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful stage. Absolutely. It's a TRVP. Hello there. How you doing? Alexanderson JRPG Hop, what's up? He's saying he heard a rumor that Nintendo would have a Rare Replay port, but without any of the Rare games that were on the Xbox version. If that's true, then that would be a total mistake on Nintendo and Microsoft's part. I do feel like it'd be a missed opportunity, but if the Rare Replay had a lot of Nintendo games that weren't on the Xbox, that'd be pretty cool as well.
I don't know if there'd be enough.
You're wrong.
Like almost
You're wrong.
Game
You're wrong. Let me tell you. So, just the N64 games, there's a lot, right?
Right, but most of them are on the Xbox, like Banjo and
Well, if you want to talk about games that aren't on Xbox, that could be on the Nintendo Rare Replay, Diddy Kong Racing, Star Fox Adventures, and Donkey Kong 64, and then then there's also the Super Nintendo games. And I'm not familiar with too many Super Nintendo. Well, there's that's just Well, there's more than that, right? Is there? No. Is Killer Instinct?
There are some, but there's not enough for it to match or even get close to the Xbox version. Like, this would be by far a worse version.
It better be cheaper.
It would have to be like $20, because there would be like, what, 15 to 20 games at most.
I mean, that's it all depends on pricing, but I do agree that if it doesn't have any of the Xbox games, I'll be a little upset. I'll be disappointed. I'm really like, I have my fingers crossed for Cameo. I never actually played it when it came out on 360. I played the demo of it because it was like in stores, and I was a kid. I would always be at the demos. You know, in the GameStops playing little demos for the 360 and the Wii and all that stuff. But we talked about last week, but originally Cameo was going to come out. Cameo, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but that game was originally going to come out on the GameCube, and you know, it was eventually, you know, ported over to. I mean, it looked completely different on the 360. Like the graphics were way better, but originally it was coming on the GameCube, so I kind of want that to come along with a couple other things. So I'll be a little disappointed, but I don't even know where this rumor is coming from, so it's a rumor, right? We'll see what happens.
Right. I like to point out, Shifty, I think, is ready. I don't know how to get him in. You're gonna have to do that, but he did DM us, I think.
Okay, I will. I'll try and add him right now. Thanks.
I think he's ready.
Let me know.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have to re-add. I'm adding in Shifty now, guys. Brandon's fixing his camera. Hey there, Ben. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
We good?
Did I miss anything?
No, but you might want to check which microphone its Discord is forcing you to use.
I think it should be using the right one. I think.
It sounds different. We had to change our microphones too. That's why I'm telling you. If you go to the gear, in the bottom of the video chat, like next to leave call, and then go to voice settings, and then look at input device to see if your microphone's in.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, if it's there, it's there. I can hear you.
Yeah. It's using my mic, if anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a way you could lower the volume of it a little bit though?
Yeah, I got you. How does this sound?
It's maybe like a little bit lower than that.
Here?
Brandon, talk at the same time as Shifty. Now, both of you. Say hello.
Okay.
How you doing?
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
So,
Hi, what's going on?
Shifty, can you lower yourself a little bit more?
Bam, how's that?
It's probably fine.
It's probably
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're back on track, guys. Now, where were we? We were talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, we got a lot to talk about.
A lot of good questions.
We haven't even jumped into any of the topics, actually.
Yeah.
Really?
We've just been
No.
answering comments.
No.
There's been a lot of really good questions. So.
Yeah. Yeah, so sorry for the Discord complications. Earlier, you were already actually in the video chat, Shifty, but the Discord video chat crashed. So we had to fix it midstream. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, but hopefully everything's working now. Let me know if anything's wrong in the chat, guys. I appreciate it. But yeah, there's a fair bit. Everyone's kind of talking in the chat, so there's kind of like a lot to cover here. But I mean, what was the last part we were talking about? We were talking about it wasn't Odyssey, or was it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I'm just relying on you guys to fill me in. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, we were talking about Rare Replay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a rumor going around. I don't know how valid the rumor is. I haven't seen it myself. That Rare Replay is coming to Switch, but it's not going to have any of the Microsoft games.
What do they mean by Microsoft games? Like just any of the games that were on Xbox?
My interpretation of what I heard in the chat is just basically anything that was exclusive to Xbox will not come to Switch.
It's like the ones that are already in Rare Replay, so not to be like new ones.
So things like, like the new Perfect Dark wouldn't be there.
That's probably a good thing, though, to be fair.
I kind of wanted Cameo. Vivid Pinata wouldn't be there. Definitely not the latest game that came out from Rare, the pirate game, Sea of Thieves or something.
Yeah, but that wasn't even on Rare Replay to begin with.
No, but that would be cool though if they added that. That'd be interesting. There are some games, the new Killer Instinct, for example. Though that's kind of like, it came in like parts. right? Killer Instinct that came out on Xbox One. It was weird.
At first, yeah, but then they made a version of it that just has everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would imagine if they put it on Switch, it'd probably be that version.
Okay. But there's even like a remade Conker's Bad Fur Day, right? So there are things that if they were exclusive to Xbox that if it weren't in Rare Replay, I'd be a little disappointed. But I still think they could have a pretty good package if you include all the Rare N64 games and the GameCube Rare games, right? Like for example, Star Fox Adventures could be there, Diddy Kong Racing, and Donkey Kong 64. None of those could ever be on an Xbox Rare Replay, so that would be interesting to see. If they go back to Super Nintendo, we could get the Donkey Kong Country games as well. That'd be nice to see as well. So there's definitely some things they could put in there as a Nintendo-centric Rare Replay, so it could still be interesting. But I agree, I would be a little disappointed if there were no Xbox Rare games in there.
So to clarify my point from earlier, because I completely misunderstood what the comment was saying, I thought it meant that it would have to be like all games that weren't. So essentially, I thought it would be a Rare Replay, but it wouldn't have any of the games from the Xbox version. It'd be all new games that weren't in that version, and I was like, why would that even?
What would that? That would mean three. What?
Yeah.
What?
I was like, that's why I was like, why would that happen? Because new games. That's like.
I mean,
maybe 10 games.
if anything, the biggest loss would probably be Viva Pinata, because that's actually a pretty good game.
Yeah, I want that.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest loss, but you don't want the new Perfect Dark, and you probably don't want Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts anyway.
No, I want that. I want the cameo game, though. I was saying that earlier. I want the cameo game. That original was going to be on the GameCube.
Yeah, I heard that one was actually pretty good, too. I never played it, but I heard it was pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was a masterpiece, but it was a fun game.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens. We got a lot to talk about today, guys, so it'll be easier for us to get to questions if you add us, right? So just keep that in mind as we progress with the discussion, but we're now going to jump into the topics. But Shifty, I'll just kind of briefly run it through for you. We're going to talk about Luigi's Mansion 3, because it was at the Gamescom. We saw a little bit more of that game. We could also talk a little bit about The Witcher 3 and how it looks as well, or anything else you saw from Gamescom if you want to bring it up. And then we're going to be talking about the Astral Chain hype, because it's coming out later this week, and reviews are coming out for it, and it's pretty good, apparently. And then we're going to talk about the Dragon Quest XI demo. I believe I saw you talking about it on Twitter, so I think you'll be able to add to this conversation. And we sort of got confirmation, that Overwatch is coming to Switch because of an accessory that is for an Overwatch case for the Switch that is also licensed by Nintendo and Blizzard. So we'll talk about that, and we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of evidence apparently for a Nintendo Direct, including that Overwatch case, and Mario eating a watermelon, and GameStop leaks of retail listings for a whole bunch of unannounced games. That's pretty much the evidence all right there, but we'll focus on it, hone in on it, get into more detail, talk about all of that, and talk about why I think Super Mario Odyssey 2 may be announced really soon. Maybe. I'm crazy. Don't worry about me. Or am I? We'll see. But first, let's talk about Luigi's Mansion 3. So, who got to see that game at Gamescom?
I just watched it like right before we started this, because I was like, oh shit, I didn't know there was new footage. I gotta watch this because I'm hyped about that game.
I didn't know until you guys mentioned it just now. So.
Nobody was passing it around. Nobody was acknowledging that there was new footage. I don't understand. There was a whole 20 minutes of new footage never before seen, and nobody was talking about it. I understand.
When it comes to Luigi's Mansion footage, I don't watch. I watch it, but I mean I don't watch all of it because I don't want to spoil myself. Like for example, the E3 demo, I didn't watch the boss fight. For example, I don't want to know how to kill the boss. I want to figure that out on my own when I play the game this October. And the same thing applied with this demo. Once I saw what the boss was, but I did not see how you fight it. So I stopped watching at that point.
I watched it. I watched both of them.
But I didn't. So I've only seen bits and pieces of the Luigi's Mansion. But from what I've seen, everything looks one, gorgeous, right? There's like just so much detail. The way you can interact with the environment is very interactive.
Grass physics, though.
Yeah, the grass physics.
That grass like some Breath of the Wild grass.
So Shifty, because you haven't seen the demo,
good grass.
There's a floor that's just completely overrun with greenery everywhere, including a lot of grass. And as Brandon is talking about, the grass looks good.
It's some damn good looking grass.
I need to take a look at it when I get the chance.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. And I mean, that's the thing. This game looks amazing. Now, like, when the original Luigi's Mansion came out on the Nintendo GameCube, it was almost like a tech demo. Like, it showed off, like, a lot of things the GameCube was capable of. I don't think Luigi's Mansion 3 is necessarily as graphically impressive for its time compared to Luigi's Mansion 1. But then again, the Switch itself is not graphically impressive as the GameCube was for its time, right? But, you know, considering the power of the Switch, I'm really liking what I'm seeing for Luigi's Mansion 3. It looks really nice.
Yeah, that stage was absolutely beautiful, and there was a lot of interactive objects. Like everything could be interactive.
Like pretty much everything you could do something with. Like there's this part that I saw you can like grab like a chainsaw, and they basically just shredded the entire room. Like parts of the room that I didn't think you'd be able to break, just shredded through the entire thing. I was like, oh wow.
I actually didn't see that. I saw them use it for other things, but I didn't see that specific scenario.
Yeah, like there was a whole bed there, and I was like, oh, they broke the whole bed, piece by piece.
Destroyed the bed.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I must have skipped over that because I was trying to watch it before the podcast started.
Yeah, no, there was another part where there was like a giant vine, and I was like, oh, okay, so they need to cut this giant vine, and specifically where they put the chainsaw, that's where it cut. Now, I don't know if like if they had gone to like a different part of the vine, it would cut exactly there as well if it's animated for that. But that's kind of the impression I had, that regardless of where they cut the vine, because it's a long vine, it would have cut at that point, right? So I just kind of felt like, oh wow, like the animations for this are very well done. There's a lot of detail here. There's just that's the thing about this game. Like there's so much stuff kind of just packed into each and every room that you can interact with in some way. There's a lot. It's just a lot going on there, and I'm very interested in this game because one, there's a lot of atmosphere, right? I mean, all of this is very Luigi's Mansion stuff, right? Like what the series should be known for, at least, where there's so much going on within a room that you can interact with, right? That's one thing that's very unique to Luigi's Mansion. But also, the atmosphere from Luigi's Mansion 1, I'm not saying it's exactly like that, but it does seem like there's a lot more to the environment and the ambiance of your experience, right? So I'm really feeling that. And then, you know, I guess they don't technically have portrait ghosts from what I've seen, right? And again, I haven't seen everything because I don't want to spoil myself. But they are basically portrait ghosts because there's a lot of ghosts that have a lot of personality, right? They have their own history and sort of story that you deal with as you explore that particular level. So it's effectively a portrait ghost from what I've seen. Yeah. So this is basically everything we want in the Luigi's Mansion game. And it seems to be very large, right? Like it's a hotel, so there's a lot of different levels. And within the Gamescom demo, we saw the forest level. Like, it wasn't just one flat level, right? Like, even though it says it's one level, like, that level has a lot of verticality to it. Like, there's different levels within a level, if that makes any sense. So, I think they're just calling it level because it's like, you know, hotel, one point to another. It's, I guess, like a section. It's just how they're going to section it off. But I'm loving everything about this game. I'm hyped for it. I didn't really think Luigi's Mansion is the kind of game that could take like the Odyssey slot, right? But maybe it can. It's looking pretty special.
Yeah. There were some really cool things I noticed in the trailer. Specifically, like the enemies actually behave differently depending on what floor they're on. Mm-hmm. Like on this floor, the ghost would pick up flowers.
Yeah,
and use them as
I noticed that.
And there was one boss that could get like leaves covered all over his face, and you had to suck them off before you could shine him with your flashlight. And there was another one that had a room with mirrors, and you couldn't see the ghost unless you looked at it through the mirror. So the ghosts do seem to behave differently from each floor. And there was the floor, because in the E3 floor they showed the enemies had like completely different movesets and they had like different ways of defeating them. Because that was based on a movie set, and they had one where they were firefighters, that firefighter movie, and they had like firefighter gear on it. You had to figure out how to get it off. So they don't behave the exact same depending on the floor, even though they're pretty much the same basic enemies. But they have different quirks to them depending on which floor you're on.
It was very interesting. I did not even realize that, because again, I'm like, Luigi's Mansion is a puzzle game, right? And I do not want to see the puzzles solved for me. I want to solve them myself when I play the game, right? Which is why I've kind of like distanced myself from seeing all this gameplay. But that sounds awesome. I love that idea that the ghosts will use their environment. They'll change based on their environment. This game just sounds like very in depth. Like it sounds like my ideal Luigi's Mansion game, and I'm consider me hyped. I'm hyped. I'm ready. This is gonna be great.
Just listening to you guys talk about this makes me go like, how much did they put in those 20 minutes? Because I'm like totally.
No, there's a lot. There really is.
There are actually two more things I noticed that they revealed about the game that I didn't know, but I don't think they had talked about it before. First off, there was an achievement. They actually got an achievement in the game, which I didn't know there were achievements in this game. So there are achievements. They're confirmed. I saw him get one. I forget what it was for exactly. It was like defeating a really enemy that had a lot of health in one cycle. So he just sucked him up and he didn't let it go, I guess. I didn't see exactly what it's for. But then another thing I noticed is that there are stage-focused collectibles. So there's stage-specific collectibles that are there's a certain amount per stage.
I like my collectibles. Got Korok
those
seeds.
Those seemed very well hidden. Very well hidden. So
that honestly excites me. That's, just like your, a Mario game where you have like that special medallion you have to find in the level, right? Or the Korok seeds. Shifty, I know you know about your Korok seeds, Mr. 900 over here. No.
Wasted 2 hours just getting one of those.
Yeah, multiply that by 900. Oof. It's not exactly. I know it's not exactly that, but yeah.
I mean, the only experience I have with this Luigi's Mansion, because I didn't even look into most of the gameplay. I pretty much just like looked at it when it was during I think it was the E3 Treehouse, when they were first showing it off, and then I got to play a bit of the game. It was whatever I think it was like a medieval theme. I got to play that level. And that was basically it. Ever since then, I haven't seen basically anything of Luigi's Mansion. I think it's just like not being talked about as much as other games are.
Right. That's an interesting point, actually. It would be a great segue. This would be a great segue into the next topic. Would be, because I didn't want to talk about the Astral Chain yet because I want to talk about The Witcher 3. I think it looks okay. Wow, we ready to move on?
I mean, we got a technical guy right here if he wants to put in his 2 cents on The Witcher 3 port.
Oh, The Witcher 3 port is honestly like ridiculously impressive from a technical standpoint. Like that game should not look as good as it does. Obviously, when you compare it to the PS4 and Xbox One versions, it's like, ooh, I don't know about this. But on its own, I actually was really impressed from what we saw. We have docked and handheld footage, and it runs pretty well. Like, that game can drop in some of the towns down to, like, the low 20s, even on the PS4. So the fact that that game literally runs at all on the Switch at more than, like, 5 frames per second is pretty awesome. And the frame rate seemed pretty smooth. There were some areas that dropped a little bit, but they were also in areas that are like known to drop on the PS4 and Xbox One versions, so it wasn't so bad. The frame rate was actually pretty good, and it is very recognizable as The Witcher 3. Like most of the foliage and stuff is intact, and the draw distance is pretty good. They didn't actually remove that much. They kind of just lowered the quality of the assets, but most of the assets are still there.
Man.
I was surprised. I thought they would remove a lot of like bushes and grass and things.
Damn.
Trees.
I think they just made, because if I remember correctly, they even they made it so that the amount of NPCs in the town are the same, but they just don't pop up until you're a bit closer to them too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
like, I feel like
They're
these are
being
things
smart
that
about it.
if you don't play the other versions, you won't notice that much of it, right? Like,
Great.
damn it, I'm upset right now because there's been multiple segues, opportunities for different topics. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, it's another game that kind of looks pretty good. Dragon Quest 11S, but not as good as the other. Like, it just, no. Okay. But we're still supposed to segue to Astral Chain.
Should have just had one topic that was just ports. Just like third-party ports.
Maybe,
Witcher
man.
3 and Dragon Quest in parentheses.
Maybe. You know what? Actually, we'll put off the Witcher 3 conversation until we talk about Dragon Quest. Just so we can finish up. There's one more thing I want to talk about for Luigi's Mansion, and then we'll move on to Astral Chain, and then we'll get back to Witcher 3 discussion along with Dragon Quest 11S. So, I'm sorry, guys. I wasn't prepared for all this segue opportunities that I'm totally missing out on. But there's one more thing I want to talk about for Luigi's Mansion 3, and that's the girlfriend mode, the co-op mode. I call it girlfriend mode because it's a term that kind of goes back way back to the Wii era when they added the whole secondary Wii remote with the cursor that you can mess with, and they called it girlfriend mode back then on the internet. So girlfriend mode for any co-op thing that Nintendo ever has. But this co-op mode actually seems really fun because you play as Luigi and you basically have all of these same abilities as Luigi. You just have different, like you die easier, like you're not good in water, but you also can do other things as well because you're Goose. You can fit the different spots, and you can play as Luigi in single player mode, right? Just kind of like controlling two different characters, like use one or the other depending on the situation. The other one's just kind of inactive. But in the co-op mode, you can use both at the same time, right? So it works either way, and I guess the game would be easier playing with two people, which is one reason why I might not do it, because it would, you know, that also, I have no one that would want to play with me. So there's that other hurdle right there. But that said, if I randomly found someone to play with, I might, because it actually looks fun in co-op mode. And I rarely say that about Nintendo co-op games. I usually think it's a waste of time. Like, I don't want I did not like the co-op mode in Odyssey. I thought it was dumb. I didn't like it in Galaxy 1 or 2. Thought it was dumb. I didn't like 3D World multiplayer. I thought it was dumb. But for Luigi's Mansion, shut up. I don't like it in Astral Chain either, right? I think it's dumb, but I think most people agree with me that it sucks in Astral Chain.
There's co-op in Astral Chain?
Yes, and
I did not even know
yes, you can control. It's dumb. Anyway, but the co-op, and I think Astral Chain is great, by the way, from what I've seen. But the co-op mode is bad. Anyway, Luigi's Mansion 3.
Hate other people?
He just hates.
Do you just hate socializing?
No. Yes. No, not actually. I'm good.
See,
But
To be
next
fair,
time I
most of
see
the
you, we're
games
playing
have
a
listed
co-op.
the co-op
We're playing
list
Snipper
stuff.
Clips. We're gonna do a whole playthrough of
oh
Snipper
no,
Clips.
but I would
Snipper Clips
love
is
to.
actually good.
I would. Can we do it online? We have to do it, but we live in the same city, sort of. So we could do it. We could that.
We could, yeah.
Yeah, that.
Snipper Clips is actually awesome though.
I
It's
I
co-op,
love
because the
playing
game's
Snipper
built around
Clips
the co-op.
with somebody. I just have no one to play with.
Just have no body.
Cue the Hello Darkest
World's
song.
smallest.
Yeah.
band.
Yeah.
I was
know.
gonna attempt violent sound. And I was like, no.
The point I was trying to make, though, man, is that I think the way Luigi's Mansion is structured, it lends itself pretty well to a co-op mode because you're in one room at a time. So there's never that issue of, oh, I want to go over here, so this camera has to screw you over, right? That's always an issue for any sort of exploration game, any sort of game that has exploration to it. For even 3D World, for example, if I want to do something, I have to worry about the other people that are moving ahead, right? That's a problem in a lot of co-op games, but they use one screen. That's not an issue in Luigi's Mansion because you're in one room at a time, right? So everything that's within that room can be seen. Everything you want to explore within that room, you're just handling all right there, so it works. And it just looks good, and you can interact with each other, and I just think it's very well done. And if, for whatever reason, I don't care for the difficulty on a random day, and there's a random person next to me, it's not gonna happen. But hypothetically speaking, I would like to play co-op with somebody. Luigi's Mansion 3 looks good.
I guess the difficulty, I mean, it doesn't even affect the difficulty for the most part, unless you're fighting enemies or fighting a boss, because it's just puzzles. it's just exploration. So it's not like difficult.
Right, and that's the thing, like the whole element of figuring something else out with somebody else, right? And especially because if you're both playing at the same time, there's that investment because you're both into it rather than someone just kind of watching. It's different when you're watching, trying to help someone figure out, which is still fun.
Right.
But when you're both together playing in the game and figuring it out, it's more fun. So it was kind of like a 3D snipper clips, kind of. Spooky
and the
3D
game is
snipper
focused
clips.
around. The game, well, it's not completely focused around, obviously, but it has a lot of mechanics that are focused around Luigi. It's not just something that they added in on top.
Right,
of
it's not
the normal
tacked on.
gameplay.
He's an yeah. That's a great point.
Like, even when you're playing single player, you need to use Luigi for a lot of things. So,
You
the
know-
other person actually has meaningful things to do.
The point you brought up earlier about like the co-op being like one room at a time, it kind of reminds me of how the co-op was in Cadence of Hyrule.
I haven't played it yet.
Because Cadence of Hyrule,
That's cool.
every part of the map is like one screen size,
Mhm.
so you're basically in the same spot for like the entire game, anyways.
Yeah,
So
it
it kind
works.
of reminds me of that to an extent.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't try co-op on that game.
You basically just one person's Link, the other one's Zelda, and you both just have your abilities and just kind of go from there.
Cool.
Sounds actually pretty
Yeah.
fun.
It sounds really fun. I'll play it eventually.
Considering you
Get
like
friends.
Probably alone. No, probably alone.
Considering that you like co-op games that restrict you to one room at a time, I think that would be right up your alley.
Yeah, because otherwise the co-op game is trash.
Oof.
You don't look, man. You need the camera to be focused on you to enjoy a game.
Ah,
You need to be able to see what you're doing.
I mean, yeah, but you could also
Super
work
true.
as a team.
No.
Teamwork.
Moving on.
Hell no.
No.
What you talk about?
Moving on.
Goddamn
Moving on, guys. I'm checking with the chat, and then we're gonna talk about Astral Chain, and then other stuff. We got a lot. We've referenced all the things. So Computer Robots added me. He said, "Oh yes, everybody. Just a reminder that he wants Charmander in Smash, and I'll never stop reminding you until it happens to every stream podcast. I'm going to announce it. Yes, I want Charmander in Smash. No, Charizard's in Smash, and Charmander's also in Smash. He's in Saffron City. He comes out and he burns people. He made it. He's in. But nah, that's it. I'm just kidding. I'm good. There's no actual buts there. Yeah. Sav64 added me. You got your Polterpup to play the games with. Ah, Polterpup. He's adorable. I love Polterpup. Yeah. Oh, hello there, Kazoo. How you doing? Shadow of Nexus. 3D World multiplayer is sick. You mean like sick in the head?
Oh god, it's good. It works well if you're not impatient. If you actually play with somebody who
No.
has good teamwork.
No. Look, guys, they're just, eventually, everyone has something they don't like. I just don't like, the co-op with the moving camera.
He doesn't like playing with people, guys. That's all you have to
Does not
understand.
play well with others.
I don't
He does
play
not.
well. There you go. That's it. That's the problem. Little Squirt saying his kitty and his kitty Mochi are watching the stream. Your kitty, Mochi, is a cool cat. Oh, Sav64 added me. Imagine if some of the old portrait ghosts from the GameCube would be in. That would make him happy. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
That'd be a cool throwback.
I don't think it would happen. Maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
they could have one level where they're all there, or some of them are there.
Mm-hmm.
You can have like a classic boss rush type of deal. Like a hidden room that just has like one of them in there.
That would be a neat little mode to have for sure. Absolutely. Hello there, Key of Time 15. What's up? I see that the Yellow Kazoo is hyped for the direct. It's not confirmed, but it seems like it's all
It
but
might as well
confirmed.
be.
Might as well be, right?
It's all but confirmed.
She brings up the Overwatch case. It is a great case for the direct, the Overwatch case. Yeah, absolutely. The crazy part is that, as Mastermind brings up right here, yep, LMFAO might be Tracer, in reference to Tracer, apparently a female character from Overwatch, which I don't know that much of. I agree, though. might be the next Smash character. It kind of makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. Oh god. Mainly because we're kind of anticipating that there's gonna be I'm anticipating at least that the next Smash character is gonna get revealed at the Nintendo Direct, because this is a major Nintendo Direct, probably. The only other venue that would make sense for a character reveal would be the Game Awards, but I doubt they're gonna have 2 for the Game Awards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, it makes sense that the second to last character reveal is gonna be at the next major Nintendo Direct, which is probably gonna be the last major Nintendo Direct for the year, right? Minus game exclusive directs, and then that's pretty much it. Like in terms of major Nintendo events, there's gonna be this Direct in September probably, and then the Game Awards, and there's 2 more character reveals to happen, and everything has to be out by February 2020. So I'm expecting a character to be revealed at the next Nintendo Direct, assuming it's a major one, right? If it's not a major one, if it's like a mini Direct, then no, right? But if it's a major Nintendo Direct, I expect the next character to be revealed there, and if they're also going to announce Overwatch there, it makes a lot of sense. It feels like a Joker situation to me, like a franchise that I'm not familiar with, right? But it has has a lot of popularity to it, right? Like it makes a lot of sense to me, and especially there's not even a female rep yet, right? So that'd be a great way to put one in there. I think it would be weird if every character is male. You know, like if the next 2 characters are Leon S. Kennedy and Doom Guy, like that's very macho, and I like the macho, but I think people want some balance, right?
I mean, Leon's androgynous.
He has gray hair. So,
I mean, I don't know. The Overwatch thing is. I mean, I'm not against it.
I'm not against it either.
I just don't see it, but then I don't know, because I feel like, okay, I could see a character announcement in general. Like I do think that is like a possibility, because the way I look at it, there's two ways of doing it. You can have the character in this Direct, and then you have the other one in the Game Awards, right?
Yeah.
Or they can have what you mentioned earlier, a game-specific Direct, because Smash 4, when they announced the last characters, it was a game-specific Direct thing that they did. It was like a special presentation.
Really? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like it was like a big thing.
Was it for Bayonetta?
Yeah, it was like, oh, we're having our final presentation for Smash, and then that was like the thing at the time.
Well, so the thing about that though is that there is no, like, assuming it's a third-party character, right? I mean, unless it isn't. Like if they have like, oh, like I don't see it. I don't, like, any game-specific Direct they have is for a game that we've already known about for this year, right? I don't see there being a character coming from any game we know about for this year. In before they announce a Pokemon for the Fighters Pass. Yeah.
I mean, if it's a game-specific Direct, I'm not talking about like another game. I'm talking about like Smash Brothers will have its own Direct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Smash Brothers specific Direct.
Yeah. And they would announce both characters.
They
possible.
could do that.
That's possible.
While also talking, updates and new features and all that stuff. Which is basically what they did before.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've been doing that for each character. Yeah, but those characters are already revealed. It's kind of like, hey, here's all the information about the new update and this character. Oh, by the way, he's pretty much out already, so go play Smash.
Yeah, they could just keep doing trailers for that. I think it'd be weird to do a Direct for something that they've just been doing trailers for already.
Yeah.
So it'd be like,
I don't know, because they kind of go. I mean, if we try to compare it with Smash 4, which is the previous game, they kind of went back and forth on that. They will have like a Direct announcing like characters, and then sometimes they'll just have it at like a regular trailer. Technically, they did it with Ultimate. They announced Isabelle in some other Direct that had nothing to do with Smash, and then they announced Ken and Incineroar on a Smash-specific Direct.
Right.
So they don't really keep to a specific, like, we have this one set thing.
Yeah. The only thing is, I don't expect there to be another Smash-specific Direct because the game's already out, right? Like, they don't have to reveal that much besides, like, they've been revealing so much about the game every couple months already with each update. I just personally don't see there being a Smash exclusive direct, unless it is like gonna be a major deal where they're like, hey, here's a final character for the Fighters Pass. Oh, by the way, here's another Fighters Pass. Oh, by the way, we're adding Smash Run. Oh, by the way, here's Target Break. Like,
I think it would have to be much bigger update than what we've been getting.
Yeah, it has to be a bigger update.
That's more or less what I'm thinking, though.
Okay.
I'm thinking, like, if they go the route of, like, let's say we don't see a character in the September Direct, I would not be too surprised if they had some kind of final presentation thing where they just kind of go, oh, look, we're adding all these modes, and this is, you know, this character releases tomorrow, and then, you know, February, this character is coming out too, and they, you know, do like a whole blowout kind of thing. Like, because they've done it before Smash 4. I could see them, if they don't have a character in September, doing it again. So all I'm saying is, like, I'm not saying I think that'll happen. I'm saying that's a possibility if we don't see a character in this, like, rumored direct.
So I'm just gonna move up the Overwatch topic to now, because it just makes more sense.
We're already talking about it. So
if anything, I did play Overwatch. I know most people would look at it as like, oh, if you don't play it on PC, you don't really play Overwatch. But I played it still, okay, and I enjoyed the game. I think it was probably the year it came out. I think it was probably my most played game of that year. So I did put a decent amount of time into it, and it's, if they were gonna add a character from Overwatch, it's clearly gonna be Tracer.
Yeah.
There's no other character that is kind of acts like the face of the.
Let me ask you a question though. Do you think there needs to be a female representative? I think some people feel that way. My thing isn't so much that there needs to be a female representative, but I do think a well-balanced Fighters Pass that kind of appeals to, like, different sides of the Smash and Nintendo community should be the case. Like, there should be a variety to the pass, right? Like, for example, if the Fighters Pass was straight up Doom Guy, Leonis Kennedy, Ryu Hayabusa, there's something else that's, like, really bloody and gory and scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Scorpion, yeah, from Mortal Kombat. Like, if that was like, that wouldn't. I don't think that's realistic. I think they wouldn't go for that, right? And I mean, we've already gotten a fair bit of variety already with what we have so far. So, I just think that there needs to be variety, and, like, if the two characters that I've been sort of thinking that are kind of like the most likely are Leon from Resident Evil and Doom Guy from Doom. Like, those two are fairly likely, I think, but at the same time, both of them as the final two characters, I also don't think really adds up either, if that makes any sense. Like, it just doesn't seem like that would be something that they would decide to do as a complete, you know, all-encompassing, very varied Fighters Pass. Maybe one of those two, right? And then something else that I just don't see coming, like Tracer from Overwatch.
Yeah. My thing is just why Overwatch? It has one game. It's not even a series.
But it's a very...
It's popular, but it's also extremely recent.
Isn't it, like, supported heavily, right? Isn't it, like, still getting updates and stuff?
It is, but...
So I wouldn't really treat it... I just don't see it as one game. I see it as kind of like a platform that's continually updated.
It is, but my thing is, it's so new. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. It has... there's no game history, there's no Nintendo, like, even Joker, at least he's had, like, a lot, like, Persona is a series that's been around for a bit, like, it's not only a few years old. Like, when did Overwatch come out? Like, when did that come out? Like 2016? Not that long ago, like a few years ago, and it has nothing to do with Nintendo. It's not even close to the type of character that would make, like, sense for Smash. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's so many other characters that make so much more sense for Smash than this character. Even if you want female representation, like, literally, there's other female characters in games that have been around for more than, like, 3 years.
I was actually gonna say when you mentioned the female thing earlier that I feel like yeah, it would be cool, but I feel like there's certain characters, especially from like publishers that they already are working with for Smash, that would fit better. Like for instance, the first one that comes to my mind is Lara Croft, because that's owned by Square Enix.
Cool.
Oh,
So to me, that makes more sense as like that kind of representation. Tracer just kind of comes off as random to me.
And I don't know, Overwatch is almost like Fortnite in the way that it's very memey, I guess. It's a meme game, a lot of it, and not as much as Fortnite, but it's barely better than Fortnite. You might as well say you want the Fortnite character, like Fortnite default skin for Smash. Like that's how this feels. It's not as bad as
I don't
but
really
it's
look. I don't know
close.
that much about Overwatch, but like each character has like their own like background and personality. Like it's its own character, right? There's a story to that character. It's not a default skin at all. So I feel like it's a little different, right? Like
It is
even
different, but it's not that much better in my opinion. Like, this would be weird. Very.
Right.
I mean, I would not like this. I would not want an Overwatch character in Smash.
just for the record, guys, I'm not saying I'm sold on Tracer for Smash from Overwatch. I'm just kind of like, I'm just thinking about this. Like in the middle of this podcast, it was presented to me as an idea. I'm like, oh, that's like, oh, that's interesting. I think it's interesting. I think if it happened, I'd be down with it. I think it's possible. But again, like we say every time, there is so many possibilities, right? Like you brought up Lara Croft. That'd be cool. Like, what if they announced a Tomb Raider game for Switch, right? I'd like to see that, actually. I think that's kind of needed.
I mean, yeah, they could easily port over, like, well, maybe not easily, but they could port over, you know, the ones that already exist on the PS4 and Xbox
I mean,
One.
and that makes sense because they're kind of a couple years old. We've been getting a lot of ports of like AAA games that are like a year or two old, right? Coming to Switch, like they have that. That's there. It's totally doable. I mean, just look at The Witcher 3. It's doable. It can happen, right?
Yeah, for real.
So that's a possibility. And I also don't necessarily think that there has to be another female representative. By the way, right? That's just another common argument that I've heard brought up. I do think there should be variety within the Fighters Pass, right? I don't think it should all be like one very similar theme that appeals to the same audience. So, with that said, though, like not every character I consider, oh, that's just like for example, Banjo's a bear, right? And Kazooie is like a girl bird that is part of the bear experience. So I don't really think of that as like, oh, that's one for the males, right? It's an animal with another animal, male and female together. But obviously Banjo's like the main component to that, right? But Kazooie's a part of that as well. So I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't see that as like a point for males when I see Banjo-Kazooie. I just think of it as an interesting character, right? Like,
and the only new female character we've gotten in Smash is Daisy, right?
It's Daisy.
And she's not even a brand new character. She's
And this is Isabel.
Oh yeah,
It's Isabel. No, Isabel's a dude.
Okay. There you go. I forgot about. I was like trying to remember because I thought there was one. But yeah, I mean it's not. It's already not balanced.
Ken's also a woman.
There you go.
Yeah, you didn't know. Yeah, that you got to play the games to find. No. I'm pretty sure that's not the case.
It's deep within the Street Fighter lore.
Very deep, so deep that no one knows about it.
So deep it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But I would like to see it, but I'd rather see like Amaterasu from Okami.
That'd be cool.
If anything, if we had to get a rep from Blizzard, Overwatch doesn't come to mind necessarily. Like,
except that Overwatch is coming to Switch.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely happening. Like,
yeah, let's just talk about that for a little bit first. For those listening, right? And I referenced it earlier, but basically, we saw on Amazon a listing for a Switch case, an Overwatch case, a very nice looking Overwatch case that is licensed by both Nintendo and Blizzard. That listing has now been taken down, but it was legit. It's licensed by both Nintendo and Blizzard. An official Switch case. Overwatch branding. It looks cool. Why in the world would Nintendo and Blizzard license a Switch case for Overwatch if Overwatch wasn't coming? And I believe...
I wonder.
Yeah, I believe it was the release date for it that it showed was September 15th, although with pre-orders, that there's some leeway there in terms of what it actually means, but it does imply that something Overwatch related is going to be announced in September. I mean, I don't think anyone here disagrees that it can't possibly be anything else but Overwatch coming to Switch.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Why else?
And me and Brandon brought it up earlier, but Shifty, I think you're in the same train of thought. You've kind of always thought that Overwatch was an inevitability, right? Like
what? Like they would
inevitably come to Switch.
I guess so. I guess more positive than negative. I never really thought about it much to be. Like,
yeah, I mean,
with you.
I've always thought of it. Oh, maybe they'll announce this game. Like whenever I think about like Nintendo Direct predictions, like okay, there's gonna be some third-party stuff. Overwatch is definitely an option, right? So I've just eventually I thought this would have happened, right? And now it's happening. A little bit later than I thought it would, though. But that's just the way it works. So it's happening. I think it could be cool. Hopefully it's good. But it's also more evidence for Nintendo Direct, right? Like, this is the kind of thing that it seems like it would be announced at Nintendo Direct. It could just be a trailer. They could do that.
You said the release date was for the case was September 15th?
That's the date that came up on the Amazon page.
Okay.
From what I remember.
True,
I'm done. This is all from the top of my head. So,
Right. If that's true, I feel like it won't be in a September Direct just because you're not going to announce it and release it the same day, I wouldn't think. And even
unless
so,
it's a digital release.
Right. But the case is not. So you're going to want, like, people to
No.
know about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, we're going to talk about this more later, but I don't think it's going to be, the Direct will be before September 15th or at September 15th. I think it'd probably be, like, late September to early
Originally,
October.
that's what I thought originally until all this information has been coming out for everything. September 4th kind of is a number that's like ringing in my head now. I think it really is just ringing in my head because I saw someone comment in one of my videos say the Nintendo Direct will be on the September 4th.
I feel
Not
like...
that means anything because there's tons of comments from a whole bunch of people that say a whole bunch of different stuff like it's coming out in December. Like,
I think it would make sense to have the Direct right after all the big games come out in September, so you're not overshadowing them since there's so many releases there. And then there's a small dead space right after those games launch where you could fit a Direct in, and it would be much better in my opinion.
I'm gonna move up the Dragon Quest.
You don't have as much
topic.
conflicting marketing.
So I'll say that I kind of agreed with that thinking as well before all this influx of information. Now, see, here's my thing. It's not that I don't disagree with it. That I agree that makes sense, but at the same time, like there are other options that also make sense. And for Nintendo, they may just be like, hey, we're gonna just do this on the 4th because we want to, right? They may feel that Link's Awakening needs another push. I don't think it does, right? Yeah. I think they've released enough information for that. I'm ready to buy it already, right? But maybe Nintendo wants to talk about it again in a Direct.
I mean, if there's any game that they probably need to push more, it's probably Daemon Machina.
That game is dead.
I feel like no one's really looking at that game.
I said this a couple of months ago, and I think people, some may have thought that I was shitting on the game, and it may have been, but only because it kind of deserved it. I don't see that game. I mean it when I say it, and I don't say it happily. I don't think that game's gonna sell well. I just don't. I don't think it's been. When that demo came out, it felt kind of clunky. We gave our thoughts on it. It was, I mean, yes, it was released so people could give their thoughts on it and they can make enhancements. But I didn't pay attention to it at all at E3. I just had no hype for it. I don't know what's happening with it.
I definitely think that game will be better than it was in the demo. I think that was a bad demo, to be honest. Like there's
It needs another demo.
the base
actually.
equipment is not fun. There is fun equipment that's way faster and there's more things to do that's in the game, but you just can't do
Right.
it without grinding.
That game needs a demo to fully feature it really well,
It needed the shock
so
to
people
actually
can get
exist.
really hyped for it. And you know what demo has come out recently that is actually doing, I think, a great job of getting people into this game? Dragon Quest XI's. Yes, I got a segue. I
Why
did
the
it. I
segue?
got one. I did it. Yes. We are here. We are in the homeland. I'm sorry for Damon X Machina. Hopefully it works out.
That's what Nintendo's gonna say after they release it.
Yeah. When does it come out?
The 13th, I think.
Okay. So it's kind of like, so there is a lot of media pushing Fire Emblem Three Houses before it came out, and that game's done really well. There's a lot of media pushing Astral Chain, and it's reviewing really well. I think people are talking about it. It is definitely a little bit of a trendy topic right now, right? And we'll talk about it in a little bit. And I hope it does well. I think it might, right? I'm optimistic that Astral Chain is going to do well. But none of that's happening for Damon X Machina, but once Astral Chain comes out, maybe Nintendo will start pushing it, right? I think maybe there's still some hope for this game, right? Like maybe, you know, that media storm, right, that I guess will start shortly after Astral Chain is pushed out. Maybe it'll have a chance, right? But yeah, I'm not expecting it. I think at this point it's kind of like a Wii U situation for it, where things are dismal. They're gonna need to do some serious pushes. Like they're gonna have to change the narrative for this game very quickly, or it's over. And
that's the only reason. That's the only reason why I see it showing up in the direct, because I feel like Nintendo probably knows that, so they're probably like hoping that, okay, wait, this game is not getting as much attention on social media. Let's let's push this one out a little more. Let's remind them that it's a thing. That kind of.
And maybe it'll be a good game. It just doesn't seem like it's gonna be a good game.
They just need to announce that it's delayed till October, so that it's not in the midst of all
The
of
September
other
storm.
games.
We'll see for sure.
Because that's gonna murder it.
Yeah.
I don't care if they show it again.
It's definitely not gonna sell as much. I predict like a 70-something rating on Metacritic.
I think it's gonna be in the 60s.
Oh my god. Damn. I mean, that's a known buy for me.
I think it'd be high 60s, but I think it's gonna be like.
And just for the record, I'm not really. I don't let the numbers necessarily like govern what exactly I will buy, but they definitely are a factor, right? It's not the numbers themselves; it's what I hear about the game, right?
The way I look at it is like, review aggregation sites like that is usually just like a way of measuring what the general public feels about the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no, because you have the critical review acclaim, right, from critics, right, people who are paid to do their job and be professional about it, and then user scores,
which are trash and cannot be trusted.
Yeah, I think user scores are really interesting because sometimes, like, I don't think user scores are useless, because the thing is, like, for example, there are some games that don't go over well with critics, but sometimes the user score is actually a fair bit higher. I think there's value in that, right? Like, I think it suggests that if you are a fan of this series, this will still be a great game for you. You know what I mean? Because the user score is very high. But also, oftentimes a user score can be very misleading because, for example, I think we all agree, Pokemon Sword and Shield, regardless of how well that game reviews among critics, is going to have a really bad user score. It doesn't matter.
It's gonna be
It
terrible.
does not matter. The movement has already started. People, there are many people who have already made the decision they will not buy that game. They will hate on that game. They will talk shit about that game. There's no way that game will be good to them because of the National Dex issue. That's just something they're not going to bend on, and there will be a large amount of people who will review bomb that game. That is a fact. It's going to happen.
You see, that kind of still plays into what I said about those kind of sites then, because if if a lot of people are that pissed off enough to do something stupid like that, I agree, it's dumb. Don't get me wrong. Make that clear. But it's still what a large amount of the public feels, you know? So I'm not saying like it's good or that I agree with, you know, whatever scores that the game gets. It's more of like, okay, if I see this game in particular has a user score that's like 3 out of 10, then that gives me the impression that this is what the public feels, or at least the public that is looking at the game.
It's part of the public. It's a selective part of the public. It does give you insight into how the community of the game feels about it. I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying it's not necessarily representative of how you will like the game, or critics who you know think of the game either.
I do think people care more to review things badly than they do to review things good. Like,
yes.
I don't ever care to go on to Metacritic and give a user score. But if somebody was like, I hate this game, I want it to review terribly, like, they're gonna go do it, even if they've never played the game.
Have you ever gone
most
to...
people who like the game are never gonna give it a review score.
Have you ever gone to a store or a restaurant and they do their job, you have no complaints, and you leave happily? I'm assuming both of you have done that at some point in your life. No? You guys never go out to stores or restaurants ever? Never?
Never by myself.
No. Okay. Okay. My point is that you've gone outside at some point in your life and have had some sort of service done for you, correct? Yes? Okay. You never... And nothing bad happened, correct? At least at some points.
Most of the time, I would hope
Most of the time, nothing bad happens. When that happens, do you feel compelled to say, oh, wow, that was amazing. Let me go on their website and review them well and tell them how great of a job they did.
You know what it is?
No.
You know what this reminds me of, actually? Whenever you go to a GameStop and they give you that receipt and they tell you, like, oh, please leave an employee review, and they give you the receipt. You never do that.
No, no one does.
Not unless they're an asshole, and then you give them a zero.
But then when someone does something mean to you, or you feel mistreated, like you got really bad food at a restaurant, or you were forced to wait in line for like 50 minutes because they made you go to the back of the line when it was unfairly, then you're gonna be mad. You're gonna be mad, and you're gonna feel compelled to do something about it, right? As opposed to when everything's status quo and everything's fine. So the point is, yeah, I agree. Like, if people are pissed, they're going to review bomb it. If people are happy, they're less inclined to say something nice about it. They're happy. They're not going to do anything. Right. So yeah, user scores, you gotta take that with at least a grain of salt. Yeah.
But I do get what you're saying, Shifty. I just think it's also a little tilted towards bad.
Oh no, yeah, it definitely is. But also keep in mind that usually, in my perspective, I completely ignore the existence of user scores.
Yeah.
I usually just go by the critic version, and I look at it as like, oh, what's that? Astral Chain has what, an 89 or an 88 on Metacritic right now. That means the majority of critics have this positive, you know.
I think very highly on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm talking about. User score was not really in my like.
The only time I look at user score is when a game reviews poorly amongst critics. And then I look at the user score, because I think, you know, again, like I said, for example, if a Pokemon game were to be reviewed a little bit lesser than I would like it to be, but I see the user score is a fair bit higher, I'll be like, okay, maybe, you know, the decisions made for this game don't go over well with mainstream media, but as a Pokemon fan, I might actually like some of the decisions they made for this game. Right, so I think there are some cases where user score kind of makes sense when a game performs poorly critically. You could take that to look at that user score and maybe think, okay, maybe there's something to this if I'm a fan of that series, but otherwise not really. So but let me take it with the chat and let's actually jump into the Dragon Quest demo that I tried to segue into, but then we just didn't talk about it.
You segued into it and then you went back.
Yeah,
It was very weird.
Whatever. Screw segues. They're not important. They're not important. They're not. Sinus Joe added me, what if the 4th DLC is announced at the Game Awards, then the 5 is announced at a January Direct? So, I don't think that's impossible. I just think if that happens, that kind of goes against the pattern of what we've seen so far. Like, then it would become a situation where, okay, so the 4th character is announced at the Game Awards. When does it come out? January? Okay. That's a month after. Then that would mean that the next character is revealed in January and it comes out in February, a month later. It's possible. It's just kind of we've kind of seen like more of a 2-month window between these things for the first 2 characters and what looks like to be the 3rd character as well. So it would be going against that pattern. I think it makes more sense to expect the 4th character to be revealed within a month or so from now, and then the 5th one at the Game Awards. But you know, they don't have to follow that pattern. It could be the case where the 4th one comes out in January and the 5th one comes out in February. I just don't think that's likely. I think it's going to be a little bit more evenly spaced.
Yeah, that'd be weird if it was like a really long gap and then just bang bang.
Yeah.
Wouldn't make much sense.
Low Score added me, with Tracer it's like Minecraft Steve. You think he's cool, but for Smash, like, really? Wasting a slot for a character that can wait a year or so if there's even another Fighter's Pass? I think Tracer, from what I know, is a better fit than Minecraft Steve, because
A bit, I guess.
Minecraft Steve is kind of meant more as a blank slate kind of character, while Tracer is a character that is designed to have a background story and personality and a bit more to it. So in that way, I think there's a bit of a difference. But, I mean, I haven't played too much Overwatch, but from what I know, you can kind of play like a whole bunch of different characters, right? You don't have to play as Tracer, right? So, like, there's a bunch of different characters you play as. Is there even a single-player story in Overwatch? I don't know.
No.
I don't know these things. So, like, there isn't, like, a campaign you play with one particular character. It's just, like, that's one of the main early-on characters. It's very popular in terms of the branding of the game, but there's a whole bunch of other characters as well. So, it's not like this one character is necessarily like that much more important than all the others in Overwatch, right? Or no? I'm hoping you guys know more about this game than I do, so I'm asking.
She's not even really all that important in the general story of the game. She's just kind of the face of.
She's just the face of it.
Yeah.
But she is the face of it, though, and that's the thing. She's the face of it,
and that's why she would be the character to choose from there.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's kind of it.
Yeah.
And I would even say like the whole I don't know if I can say who's more fitting though, because the whole blank slate idea kind of could be applied to some characters that are currently in Smash,
such as
any of the characters that are avatars to an extent that can be named, that can be customized to look completely different. For instance, like Robin, Corrin, Hero, Shulk to an extent, but not really. Like a lot of these characters, like they're kind of those characters to an extent. The only reason why Heroes named Heroes because they just needed a generic name. Robin's called that because that's his default name, but he doesn't really have a specific look, you know.
Right.
You
But
can
at least
change
they
it
have
to
like
be
a
whatever.
story to them. And
so,
not
like,
all
for
characters in
example,
Smash do.
there's an idea on that. So let's just say hypothetically they did decide to go with an Overwatch character. What if they did the whole Dragon Quest idea and they just called it Champion or something, and it's different Overwatch characters? But then they would have to play this.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
every year they play so differently, it would make sense.
Yeah.
they're all drastically different. That would be kind of difficult
wrong. Yeah. Best case scenario, they would just have to do like color variations that give you an idea of another character.
Yeah, color them to look like other.
Right. That would fit more with what's been done. I don't know, man. Like, for example, the whole Minecraft Steve thing, I was never really a big proponent for that, but at the same time, like, if it happened, I would have accepted it, right? Like, okay, cool, you know, I think it could still be fun, but, you know, it was also one of those things, like, I didn't think it was impossible, either. Like, I did think there was a fair bit of likelihood with that. So, to that point, I also think, like, Tracer, even though I feel like there's a little bit of a difference because there's personality to it, you guys are right, like, it doesn't necessarily matter if a blank avatar, like you said, Shifty, there are cases for that in Smash. So, my point simply being is that regardless if it's similar or different from Minecraft Steve, like, either way, I think it's possible because it's a character representing a popular game series that Nintendo may want to be sort of influenced in the Smash Brothers. So, we'll see. But again, there's so many other options, you know, we can't say for sure what's happening or not.
Right. I just think Tracer's a character that, while I don't think is all that likely, I wouldn't mind it too much. It would, like,
I already got my Banjo.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't. I mean, Banjo is like a situation of like I like him. I'm just not super like, in love with him. I guess. But I like him.
You just don't know that. You don't know it yet.
I played Banjo. I already know.
For the Banjo thing is like appealing to long-time fan requests, right? That's something the community has wanted for a long time, right? We got that. The only other one that's left is Gino and maybe Waluigi.
I'm pretty sure, Isaac fans have been asking a lot.
Oh yeah, Isaac. But Isaac is dead though.
The only thing is,
he's an assist trophy.
Yeah.
So is Waluigi.
Yeah. Gino is not an assist trophy though, so
Gino's
there's
the only one who actually has a chance.
Small chance.
It's a very small chance, maybe 5% chance, but it's a chance.
I'll roll with that 5%. If it was
I'd say 5% for Tracer too, to be honest. There's just so many other characters that make so much more sense.
Yeah, we'll see when the Nintendo Direct is announced this week and they announce Tracer.
I would actually be kind of upset because I think it's a stupid choice for Smash. Like, I don't think it makes any sense for Smash.
I just feel like
so many other characters that make more sense.
I just feel like Smash is such a franchise just celebrating gaming as a whole, and when I think of that in my mind, a lot of the characters come to mind. Like Dragon Quest does come to mind because it's like a super popular RPG that like
it's big.
Started so many things.
It's been around for years.
And like Persona Shin Megami Tensei is a big thing now, and I don't see Overwatch fitting that, especially if you're gonna take a character that is going to be technically the first actual first-person shooter character. I just feel like Doom Guy makes more sense to fit that role.
Yeah.
As when you think of it in terms of like gaming franchises like that are a kind of a celebration of gaming history, Doom makes a lot of sense, right? Resident Evil makes a lot of sense. Overwatch is more recent than those, and it's not necessarily correlated to Nintendo history at all, right? So in that way, I would say it doesn't really make that much sense from that perspective. And at least with Persona, while Persona it does exist on Nintendo consoles, it's not big on Nintendo consoles, right? It's more, I guess, because it's a spin-off based off Shin Megami Tensei, which is on Nintendo consoles, and that has a long history with gaming. So that makes a little bit more sense in that regard. And from that perspective, I see what you guys are saying in terms of Overwatch maybe not being as, I don't want to use the word deserving, right? Because but it doesn't fit it doesn't fit Smash Bros. The same way other games may. But we'll see what happens. I just think the timing is really interesting. Assuming there's going to be a Nintendo Direct soon announcing Overwatch and a Smash character.
I mean, keep in mind that because of the whole GameStop thing, it's not like Overwatch is going to be the only announcement there.
Right. Absolutely. It could be, I don't know, Master Chief.
They could have a Switch trailer for Doom Eternal and then announce Doom Guy there.
Yes, absolutely. I kind of expect Doom Eternal to show up at the Direct.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'll show.
Yeah, for sure. But they could also maybe announce Resident Evil 2 Remake for Switch.
Yeah.
Maybe. Or they could announce a Tomb Raider game. Right? And all these different franchises could potentially have a Smash character. Maybe.
The only reason why people are thinking Tracer right now is because Overwatch is basically the only one we know for sure will show up.
Yeah. That's a great point. So, Sinus Joe added me, the fighter announced at the Game Awards could be shadow dropped after the presentation.
Could.
Well, okay, so I'll give you that if they don't announce anything at the Direct and they shadow drop the fourth character at the Game Awards, that would obviously cut down on the window between, if it comes out December 7th, right? Then there's 2 months, like if they could have a character come out February 2020. Yeah, they could do that. That would go against everything they've done so far with the Smash characters from the Fighters Pass, but they don't have to follow the pattern.
Dropped anything. They kind of like their hype cycle for the characters though, and like even at E3 everyone was like, oh, they're for sure gonna
Right,
shadow
we
drop
were
one
definitely
and
thinking they
three.
would shadow drop something. No.
And then they're like, nope, that comes out 2 months later.
And that the other thing is that, like, the difference between when Joker came out and E3, like, it wasn't 2 months, but it was almost 2 months, right? Like, well,
Yes.
so
Wait, what?
Something like that.
What's the question?
the time difference between Joker came out, which I believe was April 17th, and E3 was almost 2 months. So it was almost believable to think that they could maybe shadow drop a character at E3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like that's, I don't know. I do agree that if there was a time to shadow drop a Smash character, E3 was probably the time to do it. I don't expect that at the Game Awards.
Right.
I'll
Could
be
happen, just I don't think so.
honestly, in my perspective, I didn't even think there was gonna be a shadow drop thing for a Smash character at E3, mostly because after Joker, they kind of made it clear that they have a very specific way they like to do it, where they announce the character, they show off the character, and then they're just silent on that character for whatever amount of time they feel like, and then they just randomly have a video out, and then that video just, hey, he's out tomorrow or today.
And I like that point because they explain everything about the character, right? They go to detail on it and the update that's coming with, right? So
Right. You can't do that at the Game Awards.
You can't. You're right. You can't do it at the Game Awards. So I think that's a great point, Shifty, because of that structure, because of like the way they want to explain everything right immediately afterwards, after months after they did the whole hype trailer thing. I don't think a shadow drop makes sense. You're right. So I don't expect that, but I'm never gonna say it's impossible because anything is possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to follow the pattern, but I'm not gonna predict that because I don't expect it either because that's not what the pattern suggests. So
Yeah, it just follows how exactly they released Prawn Plant. That's how they released Joker, and that's how they released Hero.
it's probably
So I
how they're gonna
imagine-
release Banjo.
Yeah, Banjo's already announced, and I'm sure one day we're just gonna find out there's a video of Banjo on Smash, and then it's gonna say, oh, he's out later today.
Right, and if the Nintendo Direct actually happens sooner than expected, which I guess now may be expected, like if it happens this week or next week, I don't think they're gonna have Banjo showcased there and then it's gonna come out. I think what may happen, maybe they announce Rare Replay and they're like, oh, by the way, Banjo Kazooie for Smash Brothers is coming out soon. Stay tuned. And maybe they'll show like a little clip of him fighting, like a quick one, just to tease that he'll be maybe coming out a week or two from now. They won't say when, but just to remind people, hey, this is coming out soon.
Yeah, they probably would, because they did have that. I forgot what direct it was, but there was a direct in between the timing of Joker getting announced and his full like video that they kind of just showed his character model for the first time, and then that was it.
Yeah.
They just moved on.
Yeah,
to the
they
next
did.
thing.
You're right. It was the February Nintendo Direct.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Because Joker was revealed at the Game Awards and it came out April 17th, and in between they had the February Nintendo Direct. That's right. Yeah, that's something similar to that. We've seen more for Banjo than we saw for Joker at that point, right?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like a model of Banjo with a blue screen behind it, but it might be something small. I could see that. All right, so let's start talking about Dragon Quest, guys. So I really liked the demo. At first I wasn't feeling it, but I feel that way about a lot of games I jumped into. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like this. Oh, the voice acting is terrible. Let me try Japanese. Oh, it's still terrible. I'm switching back to English. Like that legitimately happened as I was playing the game. But now I just got to the kingdom, right? So I didn't play for that long. I played like an hour and a half or so. But I started getting a handle on the battle system, the exploration, the world, and it looks good. I think the world, like graphically speaking, at least, like the environment looks really nice. I think the character models look kind of bland, right? Like when I saw the cutscene trailer of the dog, I'm like, oh, that's some nice fur. And then when I see the actual dog in gameplay, I'm like, oh, what the hell happened to his fur, right? Like it's completely different. It's just this flat. I don't know what it is. It's just it takes a real hit, but I have to take a look at the PS4 gameplay, but something tells me that the PS4 gameplay, the dog's texture isn't that much better in the PS4 version either. That's just probably
Right.
how it looks.
Yeah.
From what
Fur
I've
and hair are not the best looking things in video games at the moment.
Yeah. If any, from what I've seen of the PS4 version, it's the differences is mostly that the PS4 version runs at like 900p versus what I think is 720p on the Switch.
And that the resolution did not bother me. There are like when I played, for example, Wolfenstein 2, that bothered me a little bit. Like the resolution got really low for that. I felt like it was blurry. Playing Dragon Quest, I didn't feel like the resolution was bad. I felt like, oh, this looks nice.
Dragon Quest also doesn't have a really heavy anti-aliasing filter either, whereas Doom and Wolfenstein both have TAA, which tends to be really blurry the lower the resolution is. So that's also a factor. It's like a raw 720p will look sharper than an anti-aliased 720p, even at the same resolution, but one will obviously look cleaner.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
all
and
I know this game just has like basic edge detection. It doesn't have anything like really good.
And I know in the Switch version they also have like there's slightly less foliage than you would see on the PS4 version, but
Something you would not notice unless you put them side by side.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, so
I saw like a comparison a long time ago. They like actually did change a lot of things. It's just subtle. It's not actually worse. It's mostly just different. But the difference
oftentimes
is often they are in such a way that they take less to run, but it doesn't actually look that much worse because they didn't just lower the assets, they changed some of them.
yeah,
So it's
I
not
see what
just, like,
I
really
know what
blurry
you're
textures
talking
and
about. I don't know about the specific changes for Dragon Quest compared to the PS4 version, but I've seen, whenever you see those two side-by-side comparisons of two different games, like a Switch game and a PS4 game, sometimes I'm like, oh, which one is which? Like, I'm not sure. And it really just kind of like, one looks a little bit darker than the other. Like, oh, I kind of like the darker one. Oh, actually, I kind of like the lighter one. Like, sometimes, like, just like the slight difference in brightness or contrast makes me prefer one over the other. And it's not really like, oh, this one just looks better. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's subtle. But for me, from what I played, I think graphically the game is fine. I have zero problems with the resolution. It runs fine. The only thing that I thought looked bad, and I speculate it's also bad on PS4, is just that the character models just look kind of... they're bland to me.
Yeah, the design of them is not that great. They're not that detailed. But
Yeah.
I guess Dragon Quest characters have always been kind of like...
They've always, that's. I think that's more of a, like a deliberate decision. I think that's like just the style that Dragon Quest goes for in particular.
And I'll say that, like, I don't like the Luminari character as a design. I just think he looks kind of bland. I kind of like, so the hero characters in Smash Bros. I think they all look I think they all look cool, right? I think they all look cool, but the Luminari character, there's just something about his hairstyle that just looks a little basic to me.
You probably see him as like a dorky kid in 5th grade with that haircut.
Yeah, what's sad is that I feel like my hair is closer to that than the cool spiky hair characters, but it just doesn't, he's okay. He's not like super flavorful, I guess. But I do appreciate like the Akira Toriyama design. Like one of the opening cutscenes, there's this old man, and he picks up a baby in a river. And it's basically like a straight up, almost like carbon copy rip from a scene from Dragon Ball, the beginning of Dragon Ball, when Goku's adoptive grandfather finds him in the woods somewhere, and it's just cute looking. Like, it's so similar. Like, if you're a Dragon Ball fan and you watch the opening cutscene for Dragon Quest, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, it's really similar, and I think it's intentional too.
Honestly, I don't see it as intentional. I feel like that's mostly like a connection being made due to the similar art style, or to the same art style, actually, I should say. Because there's a lot of stories where like it starts off with some kind of child being picked up like that and adopted by some family that cares and takes care of it and whatnot. That's not really like a Dragon Ball thing. That's more of just like a storytelling thing that a lot of
I understand what you're saying.
stories have.
The character looks pretty much like Gohan to me. And when I say, I mean old Grandpa Gohan, not kid popular Gohan. Like, from what I saw, it felt like a very strong reference to me. But, you know, either way, it doesn't really matter. It has the Akira Toriyama design, so any Dragon Ball fan, you're gonna see things that's gonna remind you of Dragon Ball. That's just, there's a link between Dragon Quest and Dragon Ball. There just is.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
Because
maybe.
Because there's definitely moments where like, you'll see a character design that reminds you of someone from Dragon Ball because they have the same art style.
Yeah, and especially if you watch Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, right? I want to specify that. Like, Dragon Quest is more like Dragon Ball than Dragon Ball Z. Like, Dragon Ball Z, things get more edgier, I guess, right? But if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you'll see a lot of connections, a lot of similarities, especially because like in Dragon Ball, like you visit like a lot of villages, right? Like, it's almost like Dragon Ball is like an anime of Dragon Quest. It kind of.
I think Dragon Quest actually did have an anime though.
That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me.
Because funny enough, even though nobody liked this game, but it's just for reference reasons, Jump Force has a Dragon Quest character in it.
Really?
Which one?
Yeah.
Which one? I didn't get Jump Force after I saw the trash reviews, but
I think because what it is, I think what it is that it's the Dragon Quest character from the anime that they.
I just don't know who it is.
What's his name? I think it's. I'm like googling it right now. Yeah, okay. I don't know how you pronounce it. Day, something like that. But he's the protagonist of Dragon Quest.
I just assumed that the. Okay, so you know what? I probably saw him. I was like, oh, that's a Saint Seiya character. No, Saint Seiya is another Jump Force character. Saint Seiya is just like a really old anime. How old is the new Dai, the Dai character?
I have no idea. Whatever, I have to Google his actual show and see.
Yeah, I feel like my instinct tells me it's an old anime.
Most likely. The manga came out in 1989.
Yeah, that's pretty old.
Yeah.
But when was the adaptation? I'm assuming there was an anime adaptation.
I'm assuming too. Where? Yeah, there was. Okay. That started. Dragon Quest premiered in Japan on October 17th, 1991. At
It's
40.
so old, man. It's older than me. It's older than me. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's kind of why I was like, oh, it's an old anime character, which is why we know nothing about it. That's interesting though. I'm glad you pointed that out. So yeah, but you know, anyways, graphics aside though, right? Shifty, how do you feel? Well, actually, is there anything else you want to add in terms of how the game looks and runs, or?
My number one thing with any of these third-party ports is just the game. I just want the game to be stable. Right. I don't care if the resolution, like, obviously I don't want the resolution to hit like 3DS levels of resolution, but I just don't want it to be like 3DS resolution, and I don't want the frame rate to constantly be dipping throughout the entire time, which is why you'll still see me playing Doom 2016 or Mortal Kombat 11 on my Switch, because yeah, they're not, you know, they're stable enough to run and be played perfectly fine. So Dragon Quest, yeah, sure, it looks slightly worse than the PS4 version, but compared to a lot of the other ports we've seen, it is a very good port.
It looks good to me. Like I said, it's just the characters that I think look bland, and I think that's just more of a design choice, right? I actually think, yeah, I mean, this is just what I think. Breath of the Wild characters also kind of bland, too. Like, I think a lot of cel-shaded characters just tend to look bland. And I don't mean, like, the important characters in Breath of the Wild, right? I mean, like, the NPCs. A lot of them look kind of bland to me. It's just kind of like the cel-shaded look of them. They're very simple. They don't really pop. They don't seem to have that much detail or variety to them. They just look kind of bland to me. So, I don't know. I guess that's just maybe... I think it is related to the cel shading. Although in general, I guess a lot of NPCs tend to look bland, right?
Yeah.
I guess the problem with Dragon Quest is that even some of the main characters look kind of bland to me. But the enemies look pretty good. I like the enemies. I think the enemies look... When you get into the actual battle scenes, the way they kind of bounce around and jump, I think they look pretty good.
I think... I just think it's a very deliberate design choice, especially when Square Enix also has Final Fantasy, where Final Fantasy's designs are very intricate and just like very out there. I think Dragon Quest is supposed to be like the opposite side of that coin, where it's like a more simple, traditional RPG experience that doesn't really, stray too far from its roots. While Final Fantasy kind of, now we're going through a hack and slash like type of combat with RPG elements.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I think I think it's deliberate. I think they make a very old school traditional RPG style that, they don't want to, kind of shift too much from. I think that's what they're going for.
Do you think they recycle aspects of their different engines for similar games? So like, for example, Dragon Quest XI's, right? As I was playing it, it reminded me of Kingdom Hearts 3 a little bit. Like, just kind of like the way the world looks and it's put together. I don't know if maybe it's just a similarity, but they are both from Square Enix. They're both
Unreal Engine 4 games.
Okay. Like, it just felt... What's the word? Not like Breath of the Wild. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's more than just that. Because there are other open world games I've played, and they also don't feel like Breath of the... Like, that is still an issue for me, actually. Whenever I play an open world game, I'm like, hey, I can't climb these rocks. What do you mean there's an invisible barrier? That's the thing. Now I'm spoiled now. Whenever there's an invisible barrier in a game, I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, it's one thing if it's like a racing or a racing game, right, where you can only go so far, right? But usually they have, like, hard barriers. Like in Mario Kart, you fall off a cliff, you die, or you get respawned back onto the stage, or there's like a fence in the way, so you can't really get out into the horizon. You can't go there, right? But like for a lot of other big AAA adventure games, right, or games with exploration in them, they just have parts that they just don't let you traverse. Like, oh, look, there's this bundle of rocks, I want to get on top. Nope. There's just an invisible wall there. So that kind of bothers me. I guess I'm spoiled now, right? I don't like the invisible walls. Like Mario Odyssey doesn't have it either. Like there's no invisible anything. Like from what I remember at least, like maybe there's like a set of rocks you can't climb because you just have no way to grab it. But you can go against it, and if you can find a way to get high enough, you can get on top of something, right? So
yeah. Technically, Odyssey kind of needs more solid walls, because there's a lot. If you watch some of the speedruns of that game, there's a lot of just clipping through walls and doing a lot of crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of it. It's interesting. Yeah, no, but so I don't know. It's one of those things where I guess you would call it a nitpick, but I guess it just doesn't feel as nice of a world to explore as more recent open world games.
I could see that. It's kind of like getting like the best possible scenario for something you like, and then kind of going back to the junk food you were eating before, in a sense.
And I want to say that I don't think it's a bad game so far. I'm liking it, actually. I'm getting invested into it, and I think this might actually lead me to buying the game. I'm getting into it, right? So I've heard like the demo could last like 10 hours almost. So I'm an hour and a half in. If I continue to play at this pace, I could see myself getting invested into it, right? Like
I'll say, like it isn't my first Dragon Quest game, so I guess maybe I'm coming from a different perspective, but I'm really liking the game. But I also know that, at least in my opinion anyways, I think that Dragon Quest is basically just your typical 8-bit to 16-bit RPG just made for the modern age. So it's very traditional in like its mechanics, and it's very like basic. And,
It feels very traditional. But
yes,
in depth, I'm not saying it's not in depth because there's obviously a lot of characters in the environment to explore and talk to. And there's side quests, and there's a lot of items and all of that. But the mechanics do feel very old. Yeah.
I guess it depends on how you look at it. Because I know, like, I could see it in the perspective of if someone plays a lot of RPGs, maybe they might think of it as generic. But maybe some people who like those kind of RPGs, who miss playing the old school RPGs, and doesn't want to play something like your typical Elder Scrolls.
And I do get that, though. I do see that. Like, I feel like they're making a lot of decisions to make it. They're intentionally trying to make it feel old-fashioned. They want you to get that old-fashioned feeling. So I understand that.
I think the fact that you can play the entire game in a 8 or 16-bit mode, that kind of says it all. Like the entire
right.
game works perfectly. Like the 3DS version, you're literally playing both versions at the exact same time, and it works perfectly.
So they have to intentionally limit it in 3D mode so the game could be 1-for-1 in the 16-bit mode, right?
I guess, but the fact that it works in the 16-bit mode just normally, like
it's very interesting, which you do not have access to in the demo, by the way. You can't do that in the demo, so I wasn't able to try it out for myself. Anyway, I think it's a smart demo, though. Like I said, I've been kind of like complaining about the games, like, oh man, the characters are bland. Oh man, you can't just go everywhere you want. I don't like that. No, like I think the characters are charming after I got over the voice acting. Geez, I can't stop just speaking ill of this game.
It's a good game. You just have bad taste.
No, I like what I'm seeing. I appreciate the designs of the characters. I actually think the world looks really nice. I'm excited to go on this adventure. I actually felt a little bad for. I don't want to spoil the story, but I'm a little invested.
Like an hour in.
Yeah, but people can be really particular about their story spoilers. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but there are some characters I'm already invested in. I'm already leveling up myself. I've gotten a handle on the battle system already. I have some spills. I got the flame sword, and I think it's cool. Like, I'm enjoying it. I really appreciated getting on the horse and just running over enemies. I got an achievement for killing 20 enemies in a row on the horse, so I thought that was neat. I think the game is fun. I'm getting invested into it. I realize I've been kind of like complaining about little nitty things, but I think part of that is one, like, I'm new to the Dragon Quest series, so some things are like okay, so this is how they handle it with the series. Like, I didn't entirely understand like how you say you want to start the game, and then they have like an entire trailer showing different parts of the game to start the game. It just felt weird to me. Like, normally when I start a game, I'm not expecting a trailer for it as I start the game, if that makes any sense. Like, it felt like more like a commercial for the game in the game as I started the game. I just thought that was weird. But I mean, maybe you could look at it as kind of like an anime intro, right? If you look at
I mean, there's games that do that. Like, I'm pretty sure Kingdom Hearts does something like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It reminded me of Kingdom Hearts, where it just has like 3 or 4 different trailers before when you start the game, and I'm just like, okay, I don't understand this. Why just let me play the game? It
will soon.
That is very weird.
Yeah. So it's another reason how it kind of reminds me of Kingdom Hearts. But I'm gonna stop talking about the game. I'm excited about it. I do plan on getting it now. Maybe we'll see how the demo goes. But I'm getting more invested into it. I think it's smart that they put out a large demo like this.
And you can transfer your progress.
Yes, you can transfer your progress, which is a really good point. Like, that makes me want to do it. If I put in 10 hours and then had to buy the game and start over, I wouldn't do it, right? This way, I probably would.
Yeah, it's a 10-hour head start.
Yeah, basically.
I'm kind of scared to play the demo, because then if I like the game, it's just going to be another game that I have to buy and beat. A big, huge RPG that I'm never going to finish for like 2 years. And it's gonna be my backlog, and I'm gonna be like, oh god, my backlog's already too big. I just wanna, I'm Some part of me is hoping that I play the game like, nope, game trash. Okay, move on. You know, don't worry about it.
See, I'm having a problem because I just finished Fire Emblem Three Houses, the first playthrough.
So I finished that. I'm 20 hours in.
Yeah, and I've learned that
Oh.
you kind of can have like legitimately like 4 different playthroughs and get a different experience each time. So like story-wise, I'm basically telling you there's at least 4 story arcs in Fire Emblem. Yeah.
I
So
don't want to play that game 4 times.
Can't wait.
I've done
It's
it.
gonna be
I've
a
done
while
it once.
before I beat the game one time.
But I think part is that I'm dealing with a little bit of the Fire Emblem hangover, right? So maybe that's part of my thing. Like, oh, I don't know if I want to jump in the Dragon Quest, like, because that's basically a whole other giant RPG adventure.
You're
Right.
going from one large commitment into another large commitment.
Right.
I'm not ready for large commitments.
Especially with the looming idea that I kind of need to replay Fire Emblem at least a couple more times.
The looming idea that you might have to
I
play a game
still
with a
haven't bought-
luminary.
Yeah.
Xenoblade
Oh,
Chronicles
man,
Torn
that
a
bun.
DLC. That's my biggest gaming regret right now that I haven't bought. the
Why?
DLC and
Oh, you
played
haven't
it.
bought it. Okay, I thought you
I
bought
haven't
it.
bought it. I haven't bought it yet.
Well,
I'm probably.
in-
I'm waiting for time to slow down.
To be
so I
fair,
can play
to
it.
be fair, to everyone watching, actually, we should move on with the topics because we still haven't. We have a lot to talk about.
Alright.
But I'll say that with the Torna DLC, you can start it whenever. Like, you don't need to have Xenoblade 2 fresh in your mind to play that. It's kind of like a separate thing. So take your time with it, but when you play it, you will enjoy it, I think. So yeah, guys, download the Dragon Quest XI S demo. Try it out for yourself. I think it's like a 10-hour demo. If you play the demo and you don't like the game, you know you don't like if you play this demo, you're gonna know whether you want the game or not. I think it's pretty fair. I think it's really smart. I hope there are more games like that in the future and with their demos. Maybe Daemon X Machina will do that, and then no one will buy it because everyone will know how bad it is. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm really like attacking these games right now.
Andre's just being a hater today.
I'm hating.
Why do you hate fun?
I don't like people. I'm joking,
I don't like
guys.
people. I don't like Dragon Quest. I don't like people who play Dragon Quest.
I'm joking about everything in terms of hating. Although I everything my critiques, I still stand by what my critiques. But anyway, Boneheads added me. What are your thoughts on Phoenix Wright being in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? I think he'd be a great assist trophy. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna hate me for that.
There's a lot of that happening today, isn't there?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Man, I guess I'm in that type of mood.
Andre's just going to town on these fools.
Well, he could be a really good character, actually. Like, to be fair, I think there is that potential. I just, from where the series is at and what we're seeing with the characters that are coming from the Fighters Pass, I don't think it's likely, at least for this Fighters Pass. But, right, I'll say that Phoenix Wright is the kind of character that if there was a more Nintendo-centric kind of Fighters Pass, he would be a candidate in the future. So if there's a second Fighters Pass that has characters like Geno, I think Phoenix Wright would kind of be in that same sort of realm along with Geno in terms of characters that aren't necessarily super popular, but amongst the Nintendo community, right? It's a third-party character technically, but it has a history with Nintendo systems, and they would be very interesting characters if added. So, you know, take with that what you will. Hopefully, we'll see. If there, I do want a second Fighters Pass. I don't know if there will be though. I really hope so though. So Computer Robots added both you and I, Brandon. Is a definition of anti-fun. Yes, we are. No, screw you. What the? Screw me. I'm glad you're just kidding. Anti-fun, whatever, man.
No fun allowed.
Yeah. Shadow of Nexus. I have never played XCOM. It's kind of like Fire Emblem, you say. Okay, I'll take that into consideration.
Is it though?
It kind of is a tactics
It
game.
is.
It has the whole, chance to hit thing and always never hitting when you think it would.
Dude, man, I'm gonna... Okay.
You have that same frustration in
You're
XCOM.
about to rant up in here.
I freaking hate critical hits. I hate them. They're so bad. Okay, it's great when you get them, but when you get critted in reverse is freaking terrible, dude. So, alright. In the second to last chapter for the Edelgard route in Fire Emblem, I'm not going to put any story spoilers, but it's hard. I'm playing a hard classic, right? And I screwed up because I was at a point where I just wanted to see more story. I didn't realize that I was right before the end of the game, right? So I kind of like skipped the whole month of training. So my characters might have been a little under-leveled for this chapter. So they made it even more hard on Hard Classic. And this is my first Fire Emblem game since Sacred Stones. Like, so, the Game Boy Advance, like, years. So, it was a hard level. I died multiple times. But there was this one time, and the thing is, I don't want to lose any characters. I don't want anyone to die, right? So, I Divine Pulse as much as I can. And the problem is that, like, I got to the very end. I killed everything. And there's this chapter, if you take too long, different characters become... There are more and more boss monsters come into the stage. And boss monsters, you need gambits for them, right? You need gambits. And you have so many... Each character can only have 2 gambits. So, if there are more and more boss monsters entering... Like, several. Like, over a dozen bosses you have to fight in one chapter... You run out of gambits eventually, right? And eventually there's one really big boss monster you have to deal with. And there's a particular character that comes in midway through the fight, kind of randomly. You're not sure when, and they will just run a train on you, right? Because they're extremely strong. And on top of it, they come in with a whole bunch of flying units, which cover ground really quickly. So if you leave a character that doesn't have good defense, kind of like not too close to some of your more powerful units, you know, they will die. Because once those flying characters come in, if you only have 2 turns to get back to your main party, you're kind of screwed, because there'll be like 3 freaking paladins flying in and they'll just lance your freaking Bernadetta to death, right? Like, and just nothing you can do. So it's kind of really hard. You have to be really aware of all these different things. So I did. I managed everything. I beat like 13 bosses. I killed all these stupid lancers. I fended off this other really powerful enemy that comes in second, like in the middle of everything. I killed off the really powerful boss monster, and then I killed everything in the stage, and all my characters were alive. And I spent like 3 hours on this, and then I get to this point where it's just one more character. It's the main character you have to fight at the very end, right? I have them all surrounded. And I decided to lead with Edelgard, because my Edelgard was very tanky, could take a hit. Like she's the kind of character that I'll put into an entire mass of attacks because I know she'll survive it, right? And I'll let them sort of attack her, she'll survive, then I'll come in and clean everything out. So attacking with her, I felt very confident that I would be safe, right? And when you see the numbers, like, oh yeah, Edelgard could take this, she'll be fine. This dude double crits me. And Edelgard dies, and I had no Divine Pulses left, and after putting in 3 hours, just done. I was like, oh, what the hell do I do now? And I eventually had to start all over. But what the freaking odds of that? At the very end, after having killed everything, working so hard, putting my bulkiest character to take a hit, and the crits just come my way and end and I didn't get any crits, by the way. I had a higher crit chance, higher accuracy chance. I got screwed over. This dude just hacks the hell out of me. I was so angry. I worked really hard for that moment, and it was just taken away from me. So yeah, you know, alright, that was my little rant. I hate crits. Hate crits. Also, by the way, just to add more to this, I used to be a competitive Pokemon player, and several times I've had a chance at top cutting or getting into worlds. Several times, and I lose and end up bubbling out of Top Cut into worlds multiple times because of a critical hit against me. 6.25% chance of getting a critical hit individually. So I'll just put that out there. I am not a fan of crits. It ruins my day. Or years of it training and battling, whatever. Okay, so next topic. Moving on.
That was a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Yep.
It did.
That was a series of words that were spoken.
Were you guys listening to that, or was that just like blob?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard
No,
things
I
about
was
crits
listening.
and whatnot.
Okay.
It was a story, and I understood it, I think.
All right. Let me see if people are still watching. If everyone's like, oh, what the hell is this guy doing? Yeah. No, actually, no. A lot of people left. Yeah. Maybe it's just getting late. I'm gonna tell myself it's getting late.
No, it's just, let's see what happened is the podcast's gonna crit against it.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about Astral Chain really quickly. That game's looking really good.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I've looked at very little because once I understood it
was good.
It was once I knew it was like from the Bayonetta team, I was like, you know what, you don't need to tell me any more than that. Like I'll just go from there. You know? So that was me. Like I haven't looked. I heard something about cats, so I know there's cats. There's a lot of cats.
Pretty great.
And that's
Hey, you
it.
can pet them.
There's a lot of
Oh,
cats in
sure.
Fire Emblem too.
You can't pet them.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can't pet them though. That Astral Chain's got something on Fire Emblem then.
There you go.
But another interesting thing that I noticed that sort of connects Fire Emblem and Astral Chain is that both games seem to have like two different like games within it. So like obviously with Fire Emblem, well obviously just because the game's out and we've been playing it, you have the battles, but then you also have the monastery where you sort of interact with different characters and learn more about them and stuff. And, you know, have that sort of like school life with them. But in Astral Chain, from what we're seeing, you have the battles, but then you also have these parts where you explore a city, speak to people, investigate. So it's kind of similar in that way, where there's two different like dynamics to the game.
Kind of reminds me of Xenoblade X.
I played Xenoblade X. I don't feel the same way about that.
Honestly, it feels more like Batman.
In terms of
Arcade
setting,
style,
I don't see much difference.
You mean
Because there's
aesthetically speaking?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Like,
Okay, I
yeah.
thought I was just thinking about it in terms of having like two different like styles of game that seem to
I guess
almost.
it's sort of like Xenoblade X, but there's a lot less nature. Like I haven't seen any nature segments.
yeah,
It's
no,
like mostly just city.
because what I was thinking is the idea of how you have the, you know, the Blade HQ and you're doing missions for the Blades while also every once in a while you go into New LA and then you talk to people, do side quests and that sort of thing. Like that dynamic sounds kind of similar to Astral Chain's, you know, going from fights and then going into
I
you know,
guess
your regular like.
it's more seamless. Like there's lots of battles inside
Yeah, like,
the
yeah.
city itself.
I think Astral Chain is just much more like in depth. Like it's that concept, but just done way better from what it looks like anyway.
Well, I mean, they've spoken very highly of like the combat mechanics, right? Apparently, the game's running at 30 frames per second, which is not a problem with me as long as it's solid. But the game's been designed in a way for 30 frames per second. Like it's not about like super fast movement; it's more about timing and spacing, which I'm all for that. So you know, it's really interesting how you use two characters at once, but apparently it's done in a way where it's not like complicated. It makes sense. It's intuitive. And you can do all these crazy combos and interactions, and the enemy designs look amazing from what I've seen. Like there's some giant epic-looking monsters and all these weird-looking alien things. So it looks really cool, and I'm actually really interested in the investigation aspects as well. Like I like that idea that there is kind of a contrast between the gameplay styles. You can kind of explore more.
That is more like Batman Arkham games.
Okay.
The why is the word not coming to me? The investigation segments.
Gotcha.
Those are very Batman Arkham if you've played that.
Yeah.
You gotta go find the specific points of interest, and then you gotta find out how they link together to find out what happened. It's very Batman Arkham if anybody.
That's the was it detective mode or was something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is very much like in Batman as well, as you have like an alternate way of seeing the world. It's not, you always go into that like vision mode, and then you can like see like projections of past things that happened and things like that, like you do in Batman. It's very much like Batman. It's almost exactly like that.
And that's interesting to me. I'm really looking forward to like getting, just kind of like investigating these worlds and areas. Like, I'll be real. There's something about the cop motif that I just don't like. Maybe it's because I just don't like cops in real life.
Really?
I don't get involved with crime, but I'm not a fan of the cop motif. partially like even with like shows, like whenever a show is about like cops investigating,
I love cop investigation shows.
Kind of bores me. And maybe it's just kind of like overdone.
Maybe you just haven't watched any good ones.
Maybe it's just too
Lethal
many.
Weapon. That's what people need.
I don't
to
think
see.
Cops counts.
Lethal Weapon's so good.
I mean, it depends on what the setting is for me. Like, I'm not usually someone who, like, actively goes out to find some cop-related show or game or whatever. But there have been the occasional media that was entertaining. Like, I used to like, okay.
I like Bad Boys.
LA Noire, I think was the game I was thinking of.
Oh, that's on the Switch as well.
Yeah, like, I did like that.
I think LA Noire is cool. Aesthetically speaking.
And
right?
that's all about you're being a detective, that whole game.
I'm
more old school detective.
Look, I appreciate
Yeah, it's old school, but you're still a detective.
So like, it's like old school detective work, and I'm okay with that. I just like the whole, like just being like a standard like cop sort of thing. I've never really been a fan of that motif.
You're not exactly a standard cop though. You're like a.
I mean, you're controlling.
You're like a JoJo cop.
Yeah, and that's cool. That is cool. I'm okay, and I'm alright with that.
Like there is, like you're technically a cop, but there are other cops that are like way lower than you. Like you're a special task force. You're like way different. Like you don't even work together with the other cops necessarily. Like you're like the FBI, I guess. You come in and you take over. And you're just like, okay, this is my crime scene now.
You just flash your badge like this is now under my jurisdiction?
Yeah, pretty much.
I do want to briefly address a question from Computer Robots. He added me, do you have a police officer phobia? Perhaps, for example, having a traumatic experience with them. There was one time a cop threatened me with a gun, and I did nothing wrong.
Oh.
I was not arrested at all. So, example of me not doing anything wrong. I wanted to. I was Ubering someone, and I wanted to take them to where they lived on the road, right? But there were cops there, and I was trying to see if I could go in, and one of them got really angry, and they threatened me with a gun. So yeah, the cop thing. I'm just saying, man. I don't always love the cop thing. Okay. But anyway. I think the game looks awesome, and the cop thing doesn't actually bother me. Like I think it's fine. Yeah.
For me, it just depends how it's done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with that. It depends how it's done. The investigative element is actually really cool. That I'm really into. Yeah.
That I think is really cool.
Yeah.
I guess I can kind of understand what you mean, because like I don't like religious games. Like, I don't like the monastery people. I'm always like, oh, freaking Rhea and her douchebag religiousness. I don't know. Anytime I see, like, religious things in games, I'm just like, oh, I don't like you. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
I'm really curious what decision you make later on. Which route are you playing?
Golden Deer.
Okay, I don't even know how that's going to pan out for you.
He's going to be fine.
Yeah, but he's gonna be fine. I just don't know what decision he's gonna make. Well, I don't know if I don't. All right.
Don't worry about it. He'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Probably the wrong one, whatever it is.
Isn't it interesting though? Like, okay, so I've only played one route, but there is like this question: did I pick the wrong side? Like, there is when I played Fire Emblem. For me, I had to make some decisions, and there was some question: did I pick am I on the side of evil? Like, I considered that a couple times.
I've noticed that a lot of the friends I've talked to about the game, I've noticed that there's like this very common thread between all of them, and that's that most of them agree with the first route the most than when they do the next few routes.
Interesting.
I thought that was interesting because, you know, I started off doing Black Eagles.
Okay, so you know exactly what I had to deal with.
Yeah.
Did you beat
it?
it?
I know what you're referring to.
Did you beat it?
Yeah.
Okay. Which route did you go the? I don't want to spoil it for Brandon.
Well, we don't have to talk about it here, you know. But
we don't have to talk about it here, but just is there a way you could tell me without spoiling it? I just want to know.
I don't know how I would I could do that, to be honest.
Did you pick a side? You picked a side. You had to pick a side. Did you pick a side that was young, or did you pick a side that was not young?
The not young. Couldn't say old.
I guess young.
Okay. All right. That's all I need to know. All right. We'll put a pin on this for later, so we don't spoil anyone. But anyway, Astral Chain is reviewing really well. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it looks awesome. I'm gonna try to pick it up later this week. Seems like a unique game. Hey, I think it's gonna sell really well. It's been getting quite a media push. I hope at least.
Yeah, Nintendo's been talking about it like every other day.
Like, it's not like Nintendo's not giving it its fair due, right? So if it bombs, I don't know if that's Nintendo's fault.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo has been, like, my Twitter feed has just been spammed by nothing other than Nintendo talking about Astral Chain and everyone else reacting to the info that they are giving.
Isn't it interesting how, like, nowadays, like, one, I don't watch cable television. Like, if I do, it's like for basketball every once in a while. So, like, I don't even know how commercials are on cable television, but, like, I think most people, at least with our generation, are usually more on the internet anyway. And in terms of internet marketing, like, because of social media, like, Nintendo can kind of a lot more cheaply get a lot more conversation and talk about their games, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's kind of like an extension of the idea they used to have earlier on where they were really big on word of mouth, right? To really push their games, except back then word of mouth was limited to who you see in person, right? Mm-hmm. And now, because of the internet, word of mouth is anyone who has a phone, really.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot... I honestly do think that plays a vital role in why a lot of Nintendo games are selling better now. Because the word of mouth has the perfect platform for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Smaller games definitely have a bigger chance now that you can just talk about them on social media. You can see a bunch of YouTube videos about them.
Well, indie games stood no chance in the past. Not really, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't even remember, like, even though it was a big game for its time, I don't remember hearing that much about Cave Story until, like, I was more active online.
Right.
But Cave Story back when it was first a thing was big. Like, it was like a very big indie game. Minecraft basically owes, like, most of its success to people playing that game on YouTube and, you know, streaming it and, you know, sharing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big reason why it's so successful. Absolutely. So, you know, I mean, I think we're in agreement. The internet, it's done many things for a lot of games.
Yeah, cool. If anything, like, talking about games on YouTube and Twitter and all these different, like, platforms, it just helps the companies out. So if anything, stop copyright claiming us.
Yeah, please.
Actually, and that's another thing I noticed about Dragon Quest XI-S. Like, whenever I took snapshots, the text for, like, the copyright text is on every single snapshot that you take in the demo. Like, it's not there when you play the game, but when you take a snapshot, they put a little watermark on the bottom right.
Yeah.
Also, when you start the game, it says you are not allowed to stream this game for commercial use. And if it has anything to do with related to music, you're not allowed to stream this game at all. When you play the game, you have to read that and say that. So does commercial use count streaming and having ads? Maybe.
I don't know.
It might.
I think it's the same rules they had for Kingdom Hearts 3. And if I remember correctly, those rules were basically just like, if you're gonna stream this game, you have to actually, like, be playing the game. You can't just, like, have the stream on and have the music playing the entire time.
Okay. But can you still have ads? So when it says commercial use, does that mean just not using the game and selling the game? Or does that mean you can't have ads on your own stream? You know?
That I'm not sure about, but I'm about to find out in a second.
Yeah.
Oh, look this up.
This Square's, like, they're really tight on this.
God.
Like, everyone talks crap about Nintendo, but I mean, granted, Nintendo has been taking down a lot of music lately.
It's basically, okay, I'm just looking at, like, commercial use. It's basically just promoting or selling or making a transaction of some kind.
Okay.
So donations, I don't think fall under that. I think that's probably more of like if you were trying to sell your gameplay to someone.
Gotcha. Okay, so if there are ads on it, that doesn't. I don't think that would count.
I'm not sure.
I'm not certain, but
I'm also not a lawyer.
I'm also not going to stream it, so I'm just not going to worry about it. But I am curious. But anyway,
I think streaming it is fine though.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
People stream it. They seem to be fine, probably.
Yeah. But let's talk about the final topic. And we've been sort of talking about it throughout the day, so I don't feel that bad about saving it for the end. But damn, it's already almost midnight. So anyway, Nintendo Direct evidence. There's a lot of things coming out sort of suggesting Nintendo Direct. There's the Overwatch Switch casing, right? There is the retail listings for a whole bunch of new Switch games from GameStop, right? There is this really weird, mysterious watermelon tweet of Super Mario, right? And it's the Mario Odyssey rendering, but it's a whole new render. And they reference both Odyssey and Sunshine. And they've just... Maybe I can pull up the tweet just to show you guys exactly what it was. I'm sure most of you have seen it already, but just put it up here for a second. I gotta find it on Twitter because I didn't think I was gonna use it. Find my likes. I definitely liked it like 3 times. Damn it. So I gotta stop liking JoJo memes. I can't find it. I found it. So there's that's the image I'm talking about. Even Mario needs a little summer vacation. No matter where your summer odyssey took you, we hope it was filled with sunshine. And if you look at the render, it has Mario eating a watermelon, right? It's not Cappy. It's not a Cappy hat, so that's something to take into consideration. But it's the same style of hat, same texture. The hair looks the same. Although this Mario has fingernails and toenails, but granted, Mario's actually, it's gonna be interesting to go back into Mario Odyssey and look at the costumes that didn't have gloves to see if you could see fingernails on them. I can't think of any time they did. But also, the Odyssey Mario was the first time he had nipples. That's something to note. Why are we talking about toenails, fingernails, and nipples? I just whatever.
An exciting podcast, to be sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So
These are things that people want to hear about.
Right.
That's what they come here for.
The nipples and toenails. Yep. Yeah. Anyway, he's got this hat. I mean, obviously the hat. But he also has this new T-shirt that's a very summer weather T-shirt, summer weather shorts. I mean, it's just weird because it's a new Odyssey style render, right? And it's talking about, it brings up both Odyssey and Sunshine. Yes, it could just be the Nintendo media team just having a little fun, but this is coming, which seems to be, right before Nintendo Direct, right? And we mentioned it earlier, Brandon, right? Shifty, I don't think you were here yet, but we kind of think, at least, that a Mario Odyssey sequel was highly likely. I didn't expect it to be announced this year, but I did think it was at least possible during a September Nintendo Direct, because historically speaking, the September Nintendo Direct or the Fall Nintendo Direct has revealed a couple games for the next year. Last year we got Luigi's Mansion 3 and Animal Crossing. So if Mario Odyssey 2 is actually happening, it's not nonsensical, I think, to think that it could be revealed in this Direct if it is a 2020 game. I think I think if this is referencing anything that's real besides it just being a tweak for fun, it's a Mario Odyssey 2 sequel. Because I think it's way too late for it to be some sort of Sunshine DLC for Odyssey, which this tweet could be a hint towards that, right? So if that happens, cool, I'm alright with that. But I just think we're pretty much 2 years after the release of Odyssey, and there's been no paid DLC at all. I think we're way past that window for paid DLC for Odyssey, right? So I just don't think that's super likely. And I don't think it's a Sunshine HD remake either, because one, this is a new Mario render. It's referencing both Odyssey and Sunshine. A Sunshine HD remake, unless it was built up from the ground up with Sunshine in an Odyssey engine with new elements, I don't think that would happen. So, and I also don't think Nintendo would ever remake a game like that. They don't do that. Not really. It's more like, they're more like remasters rather than remakes, right? So, I would say it's more likely, assuming it's something and not nothing, it's a reference, a tease to Super Mario Odyssey 2, which maybe will have an Isle Delfino Kingdom or something like that. Maybe even they'll add a flood mechanic, kind of like the Yoshi for Galaxy 2. Like, hey, there's this cool mechanic we add to the game that you can use sometimes. So if they brought Flood back, so this game ended up being kind of like a Sunshine and Odyssey sequel at the same time, I'd be in love with that. That'd be amazing.
I don't think they'll do that. I think the most likely scenario, if this is a Mario Odyssey 2, would be that it's sort of like the first one, where it has all its own original worlds, but then it has the Super Mario 64. Like, it's got Princess Peach's Castle, which is all references to Mario 64, and this one would have a Isle Delfino as its kind of last world. Which obviously would be a reference to Sunshine. So I think that's how they would handle that. I don't think it would... I mean, Flood doesn't even make sense, honestly. There could be a capture that acts like Flood. In fact, there already kind of is in the beach level. I forget what it's called.
You can sort of jet around. It's kind of like using like one of the nozzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could be one that goes a little further than that, but I don't see the need for an actual Flood.
I could see that. I could see maybe going to Isle Delfino and Flood being there, right? And you could capture him and have Flood mechanics for that level. But I think if they were to go ahead and do that, they'd maybe make him available a couple other times in the game. And I also think that if there is an Isle Delfino, it won't be an end game secret world. I think it'll be earlier on in the game. So
it could.
Yeah. What do you think, Shifty? Do you think this is all just pie in the sky dreaming, or do you think there's something to this?
I lean more on the side of this. I don't know. At first, I thought it was just kind of just a, social media team having a
that was my initial instinct as well.
Same.
And for the most part, I still partially do feel that way. I don't know, because then I go back and I think about like the Chibi Robo thing, where like he was doing the Dark Souls pose, and then what was it, like the direct after kind of announced Dark Souls.
But I didn't even think that. I didn't see when I saw that. I didn't realize it was a Dark Souls thing. I thought it was just Chibi Robo. I thought they were teasing Chibi Robo, right? Like there was no Chibi Robo anything.
Yeah, that one. Because with that, it was just like they just posted an image. He was doing this, with the praise the sun thing, and he was on fire. It was like a big Dark Souls. Like,
were you? But how many people picked up on that before the Dark Souls reveal?
I would say a good couple people.
Okay.
I did definitely see a fair amount of people did mention Dark Souls when that was talked about.
Okay.
I didn't see anybody say that. I did not realize that was a reference to Dark Souls. So you just said that right now.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's because I follow different people. I don't know what it is.
Probably because you know more about Dark Souls.
Well, I'll say that at that time, I had not played Dark Souls, so I played it on Switch. I waited to play it on Switch. I had played Bloodborne by that point though, but I had not played Dark Souls, and that's from Dark Souls. The whole Solar thing, right?
Yeah, the praise the sun and all that.
Yeah. So it is interesting. I mean, so they do tease things. It's not out of the question for the Twitter team to tease something, right?
Right.
And this is a new Mario render, right? Like, I mean, it could have been something that was just never used from Odyssey, right? But
yeah.
At this point, I'll say this is something new. This is a tease for something new related to Mario.
I would say that right now, I guess it's either because a part of me still thinks it doesn't mean anything, but then again with the timing of like the Overwatch thing going on and the direct and all that stuff, it just kind of just seems like very convenient timing for that kind of joke to be made.
Yeah.
So I could like I'm starting to see the reason why some people might see something there. Although just for personal reasons, I'd prefer if we didn't have Flood, because I really did not like Flood. But if it was Mario Odyssey mechanics in Al Delfino, I'll be fine with that. I would like that.
So, how do you feel about the likelihood of Mario Odyssey 2, regardless of this tweet or not? Like, do you think a sequel to Mario Odyssey is in the works?
Yeah. Because I feel that it's rare that they do a sequel. I know Galaxy was like the one time that they kind of did a direct sequel like that.
Yeah.
But if they've done it once before, they can easily do it again.
It feels like a similar
sequel. God. Technically, on the story, it happens right after Mario 64 ends, so technically it is a sequel to that game.
Kinda.
But gameplay-wise,
not,
mechanics-wise, it's not, right? Galaxy 2 is
probably
like
the closest one to Mario 64, other than Mario 64 itself. It plays mostly the same for his basic movement, other than it's like way tighter controls, other than Flood. But it has a similar design that the other games don't have. That's similar to Mario 64.
that hub world where it branches off into other worlds and have like a star selection screen.
It is the closest game to Mario 64 that we have.
I get what you're saying.
I feel that's more to do with it being like
the
3
next
Mario
game in the
directly
series.
after, rather than it being a sequel though.
Right. I don't consider it a direct sequel, but there are connections between the two. But I feel like this, the next Odyssey game, or whatever it's going to be, I do feel like it's a Galaxy 2 situation. It feels similar. I actually made a video talking about Mario Odyssey 2 happening before I saw this tweet. Right, it came out the same day.
Right.
Which was I thought was kind of funny. But what I made a point of in that video was, well, one, I actually went back and I read an Iwata Asks. Do you guys remember the Iwata Asks, like, from years ago? And I read through an Iwata Asks for right before Mario Galaxy 2 was coming out. And there was multiple executives within that Iwata Asks, and they kind of were talking about why they started making Mario Galaxy 2. And initially, they didn't even want to do it, right? But Shigeru Miyamoto came out basically right after Galaxy 1, and he suggested to the team, hey, you guys should use this Galaxy engine you guys created and worked so hard to use, and use it again, right? So he basically said, hey, you guys should probably do a sequel, right? So they started working in ideas. And they had a compilation of ideas, and some ideas they didn't use beforehand, like Yoshi, for example. And they eventually went on to do it. But at first, it wasn't really going to be considered like a direct sequel. They were thinking of it more as like a 1.5. Like, they actually were calling it internally either More Mario Galaxy or Super Mario Galaxy More. Like, that was like the internal naming at the time. And eventually, they're like, hey, we have so much here, where we're going to make it a full-on direct sequel. Right, so that's what I sort of got from the Iwata Asks. And then if you also look at all of the concept art that have come from Mario Odyssey, there were a lot of unused ideas. Granted, this happens with a lot of games, so to be fair. But there's a lot of unused ideas for Mario Odyssey, not to mention the surprisingly missing Isle Delfino, because in some of the earlier promotional material for Mario Odyssey, there was an Isle Delfino. It's completely scrapped. It's kind of a mystery, right? But I always believed that they wanted to do DLC for Mario Odyssey. One, they had multiple free DLC updates for Mario Odyssey, right? So they were updating the game, they were expanding upon the game when it first came out. And I actually went back and I looked at I believe the quarter 2 earnings meeting for fiscal year 2018. Shunjiro Furukawa, this is before Smash Bros. Had come out, he had said that they plan on doing DLC for their biggest best-selling games. And at the time, their 2 biggest best-selling games, when he made that statement, were Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Super Mario Odyssey. Interestingly, the only 2 games on Nintendo's top 10 list that don't have paid DLC. Yes. So, it was a weird situation, but considering all of those different things, to me it kind of feels like what happened was maybe they were considering doing DLC at first, but they had so many different ideas. The Odyssey engine is kind of like its own unique accomplishment, right? And they had all those different ideas from beforehand with the concept art, and there's a whole missing Isle Delfino thing. To me, it seems like they just had so many ideas that they eventually went on to just make it into a full-on sequel, which is very similar to the Galaxy situation. Of course, back then, a 1.5 probably wouldn't have been a DLC for the Wii, but, you know, taking the history limitations out of the situation, it's a very similar sort of setting. Not to mention, when we look at the Breath of the Wild interview that we just got for Breath of the Wild 2 from AJ Numa from Kotaku, he's basically saying that the Breath of the Wild sequel is also because they all had a lot of DLC ideas and they just decided to make a sequel. So,
Right.
I'm of the frame of mind that, yeah, Nintendo probably wants to make a sequel with the Odyssey engine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, especially what you brought up earlier about the whole, it's way too late for DLC to be an option thing too.
Yeah.
That's probably accurate. The only time I can really remember doing DLC for a game that's technically really old is when they did DLC for like Captain Toad and Pokken, but those are technically like the re-releases.
Right. So
you can kind of argue that a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that doesn't really support it. It's a unique situation because they are like remaster. That's what they are. They're remasters, right, on the Switch. So they got more DLC, and even Mario Kart Deluxe got some DLC updates, but they were free DLC updates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simple as free DLC updates. Like there was the Breath of the Wild link, for example.
Yeah.
There isn't any precedent for a new game, or exclusive game for a platform to get a paid DLC update 2 years after it's been out, with no other paid DLC before it.
Right. At least Nintendo doesn't typically do it.
Yeah.
Like I think I'm trying to think of like not just Nintendo, but like just gaming as a whole. Like how
I can't
often
think
does
of
that happen?
who would wait 2 years. Is there there'd be something in between that?
There's usually like constant DLC up to that point, or
Yeah.
the only other game I can think of is Borderlands 2, because they had that one DLC that just released like earlier this year, which
Okay.
was that's like the only one I could think of, because Borderlands 2 had been kind of like DLC wise finished since the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era, and then they just randomly made a DLC to bridge the gap between 2 and 3 later. That 3 coming out later.
Okay. Was that
So that's,
DLC
like, the
like
only
kind of like an expansion, or was it like
It's like a new story and everything.
okay?
Yeah. I don't know how big it is exactly, because it's just supposed to bridge the gap between the two games, but that's a thing. That's the only one that really comes to mind.
And it's not even Nintendo, right? So like
Exactly. Right.
it just seems like the likelihood of it being DLC is really low, because there's very little precedent for it, and for Nintendo there's no precedent for it from what we can gather. I can't think of anything. So I mean, like, I don't think it's DLC. If I'm wrong, hey, cool. I've been wanting Isle Delfino as a kingdom in Odyssey for a while, but I'll also be disappointed because at this point I just want a new game, right? And actually,
Yeah.
to that point, Nintendo probably also agrees, hey, we can just make more money on making a whole new game. So that's probably what they're going to do. Because that's the other thing. The reason probably why we don't have too many games that have paid DLC that late until after they come out is because there's probably not as many people who bought it initially who are going to get that DLC because they played and beat the game already. There's not as much earnings potential for that DLC. Right? Like, it's kind of had its time already. Or at least it's peak
People
time.
move on.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes more sense to have a sequel. Like, they'd be probably shooting themselves in the foot if they just focused on paid DLC now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
I
it does
definitely
get
feel
announced in this direct, though, I think it will be just a very simple tease. Light gameplay. I don't know if it'll be as much of a tease as like Animal Crossing, with show any gameplay, but I feel like it'll be something very short.
Mario chilling on a beach
There.
on Isle Delfino.
I think it would just be a few seconds of gameplay, maybe not even actual gameplay, but like you're saying, like just like a
Oh my
chill
god.
scene of him just sitting there, and then just like Super Mario Odyssey 2, and then they would like learn more later.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh
It
god.
could definitely be one of those, hey, that's all we have time for today, but we have this one more thing we would like to show you.
Or they'll say, oh, I hope you guys are enjoying your summer, and then have a little cutscene of Hold on. I'm pulling up an image, man.
Drum roll.
Pulling up an image, man. Relax.
I'm just expecting the whole, we have one more thing to show you, then you snap their fingers and it turns into the teaser.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Come on. I'm just trying to open up the... Alright, you know what? This is it. I just wanted to make it bigger. This Peach outfit was in Odyssey. Like, she had a beach outfit. Like, this...
At the beach.
Not always. My point is that, like, what if they go on another vacation? Yeah, they're gonna go on another vacation, and it's gonna be an opening cutscene of another vacation, and it's gonna be Peach and Mario, and you're like, oh, we're going back to Isle Delfino again. It's happening. I don't know.
I'm very curious about how they'll handle where the kingdoms are. Maybe they just travel to other parts of that world, but it felt like
they could do that
all the way around.
Well, so
like you went all the way around the globe.
Another
there were obviously places they didn't go, but it'd be kind of weird because they were kind of like off to the side.
Right.
It's kind of weird if you just like bounced around like just the small.
Well, maybe
places.
the way
maybe they go to a different planet or something.
Maybe. I could just see it where maybe it's not. It just has a different structure in terms of how you get to the levels, but possibly, or they just
maybe
go wherever. It doesn't really matter. It just flies wherever because it's an Odyssey. But the other thing, like, a couple things. One, maybe the Odyssey gets damaged and you don't have as much teleportation power, so you actually have to travel differently. So, like, there was actually a lot of concept art for Odyssey. They had the Odyssey like having like a swimming mode, like a boat mode, like car mode, a sail flying mode, like different like modes of transportation. So maybe they could use it kind of like as a gameplay mechanic to travel between places, but they probably won't do that because they like to be very quick to how you get to different worlds. So probably not.
Right.
But another thing though is that, like, if you when you play Mario Odyssey, like, you ever notice how like they have the kingdom name and then they have a name for the actual area? So like there's Metro Kingdom and there's New Donk City. So I always thought that was weird that they had to specify which kingdom you were in, but you were only in one part of that kingdom. Like, like maybe for Metro Kingdom there could be multiple areas within Metro Kingdom more than just New Donk City. So maybe in Mario Odyssey, we go back to these different kingdoms, we explore a different part of the kingdom.
I'd be fine with that, as long as they have a few more kingdoms as well.
Like Isle Delfino.
Yeah, but more than just Isle Delfino.
Well,
like at least
Isle Delfino Kingdom could
kingdoms.
have multiple areas because there was multiple parts of the island.
Right. I'm just saying, like.
Well, like,
I want more different types of.
It would be really cool if, like, the ruined kingdom got another area. It was more than just a tower.
That would be very good.
I guess you could do that for
underutilized.
You can kind of do that for every world that's like that, like Ruined Kingdom, the Cloud. I think the Cloud Kingdom's like that. Yeah,
they're really small. They both had less than 10 moons.
Because they're basically just like arenas. They're just worlds that exist for a boss fight, and that's it.
Yeah. Actually,
sucks because the Ruined Kingdom's like the best kingdom. They're so cool.
It's super cool, but I wish there was more of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually like your idea. As long as they put like 3 or 4 new.
No, I think there's got to be new kingdoms as well, right? But they could revisit old ones with new areas. They could do both. That'd be
fine.
Love that. It'd be so cool. Like, what if, like, so you know how there's the Mushroom Kingdom, right? And Peach's Castle. Like, what if you go back to the Mushroom Kingdom, but you actually like explore like a Toad Village, for example? Like that would be awesome. Like some of the things you kind of explore like in the Paper Mario games, but never in 3D. Or like in the beginning of Galaxy, how you actually there's a Toad Village that you go through leading up to the Peach's Castle. I want to explore that. That'd be awesome. So there's a lot that they really haven't. And if you play Super Paper Mario, there's like different towns and areas in the Paper Mario, like a lot of the Paper Mario games. They have like different. They actually explore the Mario world more than the 3D Mario games, right? The Paper Mario, all the Mario RPGs they do. I would love to see more areas from the actual Mario universe that's been explored in the Mario RPGs in Mario Odyssey. That'd be awesome.
I was just thinking, because you know how once, like, I don't know if it's, well, you know how you get the moon rocks, basically you break them and then it kind of creates like those new sub-level areas.
Like, you mean like the silver cubes?
Yeah. So what if, say, as a way to kind of like reuse some of the like old locations, what if they kind of do something like that again, where once you beat let's say you beat Al Delfino, maybe some kind of thing will start happening in all the other worlds that start opening up new challenges for you to do. That way you have to go back to those old worlds and do these new challenges and whatnot.
I'd be okay. I'm all for remixing. Actually, with remixing old areas, that enables them to create a hell of a lot more content, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm
so
all
you
for
have
that.
like, you have your big Al Delfino, and it'll probably be like the biggest world since it's all the focus of the DLC. But at the same time, maybe, I don't know, maybe they can even do like the whole Shadow Mario thing again, and he's like going globe-trotting all over the different like
That would be
locations.
interesting. You know, it'd be cool too if like you go. So you know how like the other kingdoms, the different worlds we explored in Mario Odyssey, how they each had like a story. So each world kind of evolved a little bit as you explored it, right? Like it changed, right? So what if like some of them that we do revisit, they do that thing where they offer like different sort of mix-ups to remix it, like a Shadow Mario, or maybe more cubes or something. But maybe like they actually just change the environment a little bit too. Like, oh, maybe they all get destroyed. Like, what if the moon blows up in Mario Odyssey? Like, they get real with this one, you know? Like, they get a little dark. The moon blows up, so different parts of the Earth are actually kind of in ruins. And when you go explore some of these older kingdoms, they're completely different because of the moon destruction. Like, that'd be interesting. Like, what if the moon causes a flooding, right? So you have to explore an entirely aquatic world because, you know, tidal stuff with the moon, right? Or you go back to the desert, and instead of it being frozen, it's on fire because of the moon crashing. Like, some things. Or what if, like, the ruined kingdom, you actually go to the bottom because you're on the tower at the very top, right? Like, you go to the bottom because the tower crashes, and then you find all of the old parts of the ruined kingdom.
Be interesting. I can't get
I'm
out
so
of my
excited.
mind that the fact that if the moon blew up, like, the world would actually be doomed. Like,
Yes. But maybe that's related to the main story, though, and maybe that's why the Odyssey loses its power, because it's related to the moon, so that's why you can't fly around normally, right? And
You gotta
maybe
make
there's
a new moon.
maybe they tie in Galaxy as well, and maybe Rosalina is using her celestial power to hold some of the moon back, so the world's not entirely destroyed. This all
This
happens.
just sounds
in
more like a
cutscenes.
Zelda
Fix
game
the
than a
moon.
Mario game at the point.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's happening.
I think you're talking about Majora's Mask 2 more than Odyssey 2.
Is that
Oh,
what?
there you go.
This is gonna be the darkest 3D Mario game ever, and we're gonna be in Al Delfino. Look, there's gonna be a cutscene in the direct that's gonna have Peach and Mario chilling on Al Delfino. They're gonna be chilling, but you know it's gonna be like dusk, so they can kind of see the moon, right? But it's still like somewhat day, and the moon's gonna crash. Like they're gonna see it blow up. And then Rosalina's gonna come in on her starship and just gonna hold it back, but some of the chunks are gonna come and crash and only break some of the kingdoms. And then Bowser's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna mess with you, Rosalina. Oh, but I have no ability to fly anymore because the moon was in control of all the Odyssey powers, and he had a device just like that with the battleships. So Mario's like, oh man, I gotta go save Rosalina. And Peach is like, oh, I'll help you out. Because this time Peach will not be the damsel of distress, it'll be Rosalina who's actually holding the moon together.
And
Most of
then
it.
we'll get the co-op experience you love so much.
Yes!
There you go.
Damn it! No! But yes, and Mario and Peach are working together to find a way to the moon before Bowser gets to the moon and takes over and ruins Rosalina.
And then marries the moon.
And marries the moon. Yes. There you go. We got it. That's your...
There it is. We figured it out.
that's-
Nintendo.
Yeah, that's your leak. That's your leak, gentlemen.
Nintendo Ninja's about to drop in here any second now.
Doug
What if
Bowser
someone just
Boys.
started pounding on my door? I would freak out.
Your phone, Doug Bowser would like to know your location.
Oh. Oh, I'd be so scared. I'd be terrified, especially because definitely was not a leak. Definitely not. Sabbath actually asked an interesting question. But here's a big question. Will Cappy return?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like
He's
if it's an
not
Odyssey
dead.
sequel, he has to be.
Yeah, if it's an Odyssey sequel, maybe it's not an Odyssey sequel. Maybe it just uses the Odyssey engine and just a new Mario game. But I feel like it'll be an Odyssey sequel. So I would say Cappy should return for sure. Actually, Shadow of Nexus brought something up earlier. He said the Mega Man Zero collection just got announced for the Switch. Not a big Mega Man fan, but for those who didn't know, Mega Man Zero apparently was just announced. Let me look that up.
I like those games, but I'm not like super in love with those games, if that makes sense. Like when I want to play Mega Man, the first ones that come to mind is Classic and X. I don't really like Zero's good though. It's just not something that I get hyped over, I guess.
So I went on Twitter and I saw something else instead. It's just one of many leaks coming out. Probably fake, right? But sometimes they're real. September 12th, new Smash character reveal. Female character. She's not a demanded character and will disappoint and confuse a lot of people. That is all. Well, when is the 12th? Possible.
Monday. No, wait, no, not Monday.
So it's a Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday.
I think you looked at the wrong month.
Yeah.
Could happen, I guess.
Um,
I don't know. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if it is a female character. I don't think it's Tracer though.
that would fit this description though.
It would.
I mean, but let's be real though. Is there any character that does not disappoint and confuse a lot of people? Like, there's always a lot of people that are gonna be hyped, but there's also gonna always be people that will be disappointed, no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Confused people is the one I'm. Like,
Well, I mean, let's be real. There are definitely people who swear on their life that Banjo would not happen.
There was people who were 100% on Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, there are people saying, look, Steve is basically confirmed already. Why even, like...
No, I know who it is. I know it's going to be Cortana from Halo. That's what it is, right?
Oh man, Lara Croft.
There you go.
Lara Croft
people.
would leave people disappointed and confused. Not everyone, but,
Right.
to be like, oh,
She's
who
a
cares
gaming
about...
icon. Let her have it.
She is. She absolutely is.
She would
Like,
definitely.
Actually, besides Samus, she's probably like the most important female character in gaming, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She really... You're right. Like, Lara...
She's been around for a while. She's had some real good games. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be upset. I'd be like, okay, that's
In
cool.
I'm like,
fact-
you belong. Come here and put your games on the Switch too while you're at it.
In fact, Lara Croft is probably more important than Samus.
Probably, yeah.
In terms of female representation, I think so.
Right, well, one, because you can see that she's a female, right?
And she has character. Like, I mean, not that Samus doesn't have character, but Tomb Raider has a lot more of it. If that makes sense.
Samus is a very reserved character. They have to look more into the lore to kind of have, like, that... Learn that backstory for, right?
And
Yeah.
the Tomb Raider games sell just a lot better than the Metroid games. to be
Yeah,
honest.
it's a bigger franchise. So,
Yeah.
I agree. Even though I think Metroid came first, right? And
Oh yeah.
what they did with the first Metroid was kind of like an incredible, like, move, right? To especially back then, like, this premise of like a female being a lead in a game was just completely like,
So I think
not
the
expected.
first Tomb Raider was on the PlayStation 1, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
was.
then the original Metroid was on the NES, right?
Yes,
Like way before.
yes. And you played the whole game thinking you were just some badass robot dude, and then she takes off the helmet at the end. You're like, oh, I'm a girl.
A woman.
Yeah.
Oh my.
But that back
40-year-old man
then that was like an epic thing, because keep in mind there wasn't any sort of like, I'm not saying there wasn't any movement in terms of like equal rights, or there were, but in terms of gaming, like, it was very masculine dominated. Like, the idea that a company would like, oh, let's do, like, it was just completely left field. Like, no one saw it coming. It was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. I think what it is, like, Samus was kind of like that first, like, slap to the face, like, hey, women are a thing too, guys. Don't forget. And Lara Croft was the first woman character to actually be like a full character, if that makes sense.
Right. I do want to say, though, that, not saying you're saying this, I just want to clarify. The Metroid thing was definitely not pandering, because, one, you don't know about it till you play through the entire game, right? And two, like, that just wasn't, like, pandering wasn't really like a prevalent issue back then. So,
Right.
it was just such a cool play. But definitely, you're right. Lara Croft is a more popular character. I would say maybe the most popular female in gaming, right? At least in terms of gaming history. So I see her in that way, from that perspective. She makes a lot of sense as a character in Smash Brothers.
Right.
I just hope they make her unique, and they could, like, if they really dive into the whole, like, you know, tomb raiding, exploratory facet that she has. Like, there could be some cool stuff. She better be very, like, nimble and acrobatic. Watch her be a tank. Watch her be
Or
a...
Joker
she'll
clone.
be too much like Zero Suit Samus. In a way.
Well, I just mean in terms of, like, being able to move around and... Okay, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what a moveset would be for her. Like, what would she do? She would have a bow.
I mean, her signature weapons are like dual pistols.
You don't think she would have a bow?
She started using a bow more often in like the reboot series.
Yeah.
But like the original, like if we go by how Sakurai likes to keep to the original stuff.
Okay.
I'm imagining the more use on her, like dual pistols that you always see her carrying around.
Okay.
I like. There's even a scene in the reboot Tomb Raider where they kind of pay homage to that. So there is like a good amount of like respect with her having these two things.
Mm-hmm.
And they've
so
already
probably
broken through the gun barrier.
Yeah, so it's perfectly possible. I just don't know how she would use it because Joker already kind of just does the bang bang.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't know how
Yeah.
you make it any different for a gun.
I don't
Guns
know.
are pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know how she would play.
Maybe that's one reason why she might not do it, because maybe Sakurai could look at her and thinks, okay, maybe this is not the most interesting character, right? Because the thing is, like,
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about this, but, like, my impression of the way that the DLC was selected is that Nintendo came to Sakurai and was like, hey, look, there's a group of characters that we think would make sense, or these franchises, and then Sakurai kind of picked the ones that he think he could make DLC out of. Like, maybe he thought, like, maybe Lara Croft would be considered, but maybe he wouldn't decide, like, commit to that, because he just didn't think there was a lot of moveset potential, right? And also, we already did get a Square rep with Hero, so maybe they don't feel the need to have another one.
Maybe.
We don't know. There's all these possibilities, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Still though, give me Doom Guy. Come on, please.
that would be dope. Very cool. So I'm just gonna. Sassy were added me. How would you feel about Crash Bandicoot as the next fighter?
Eh.
Be cool. Yeah, I have to see it in motion. You know, I'm not like a big Crash fan, so I wouldn't be like, oh, holy sh. Maybe I still will be. But
It'd
like,
be funny just because how Crash represented Sony back in the day.
it'd be funnier if they do the whole like Rivals trailer thing, like, 'cause you know they had the Mario and Bowser, Samus and Ridley. You know.
Oh, if they bring Crash Bandicoot into the game and his opening like the reveal
It's
trailer
the
doesn't
Rivals
have him
trailer.
fighting Mario,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be
yeah.
like, what the fuck?
That'd be so cool. They do the Rivals trailer and it's like he goes through everyone, right? And then it's Crash and Mario. Like that'd be pretty awesome. Maybe they put Sonic, Crash, and Mario. Like that'd be cool. I'd like to see that. That'd be like, you know, some next level references right there. Mastermind, he added me. Guys, it's gonna be another sword fighter, and it's Catalina Psy Games may find a way to negotiate with Nintendo. Yo, if there's a character that I'd be upset about that was made in Smash, it would absolutely be that. Like some random thing that's never come out in America, like from a mobile series that's popular on the other side of the world, that no one here understands or has played.
Mobile character?
That would completely
Hell no.
scream business move, not at all caring about the fan base or what would be cool for the fan base. Like that would just, I would not like that.
Yeah.
I would.
Cash
I mean, maybe it could be a fun character, but like I know I'm pretty confident that not anyone in the chat's gonna be like, oh man, my favorite character. No, you've never played it. So, you know, yeah, I'd be disappointed. But anyway, I think we're, you know, we've been doing this for over 3 hours. So I think we're We could talk about more stuff, but we're pretty much.
We could always talk about more stuff.
We could always talk about more stuff, but
24/7 podcast. Here we go.
yeah, I mean,
You're gonna have your first 24-hour podcast real soon. When you hit podcast number 100.
no, no,
Thank you for saying no.
no. Unless there's a lot of money, and
That's a lot of money,
there will not be. So,
Oh, that's easy. Just do a podcast, right? Do your normal podcast, and then just say, hey, for every dollar donated, we do another hour.
I'd need more than $1.
$24
$1 per hour. I'd take $24 per hour. There you go.
yeah, it doesn't have to be a lot, but
Each.
each. Well, the number should go up every hour because after a certain point, it gets harder. It gets harder and harder and harder and harder. You know, so.
I'll be over here on my 5th cup of coffee, just trying to actually put words in a sentence that makes sense.
With my 8th energy drink.
Like probably
have a heart
half the
attack on
podcast would
stream.
probably be like watching an anime. It's like, oh, hey guys, let's binge watch.
Well, let's watch JoJo.
Yeah.
Let's play some games.
We'll start
fellas.
storyboarding. For
God
our
forbid.
Own video games and our own animes.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that we couldn't do something do stuff for 24 hours on stream. That would just be hell.
Yeah.
It'd be hell. I would not want to sit in one chair for 24 hours. I would probably die from blood clots. Like,
Yeah.
no. Although
if we get to 1 million subscribers by tomorrow,
Each.
we'll do it.
Each. All 3 of us. You're including this, Shifty. It was your idea.
I'm an accomplice now.
Yeah, you absolutely are. So we each get 1 million
Accomplice to our
subscribers
murders when we die.
in 24 hours. Yeah. Oh. So I will say that I think at some point I could maybe pull off a 24-hour stream, but I would have to really like plan out how it would be done because I do not want to sit on a chair for like it would have to be like some sort of like interesting setup or team up with other people.
Yeah.
Although I did watch that, there was this one video from Mr. Beast where he just sat somewhere for like 24 hours and recorded the whole thing and posted it. Kind of stupid.
Well, that's Mr. Beast's channel. He just does.
Yeah.
stupid
He does
stuff
crazy.
and throws money
No,
at
I
people.
think he like did something where he like said Logan Paul or something like for 12 hours straight.
Oh, I think he said PewDiePie.
PewDiePie, 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 PewDiePie. 30
I
seconds
think
later.
I would actually go insane. I think I would walk up to somebody and just be like, PewDiePie, PewDiePie, PewDiePie.
I don't. I just can't imagine how someone
walking
could
after
even.
random people in the street, just yelling, PewDiePie.
I have no idea where I would go, like mentally, like where I would be. Like I did that for 5 seconds and I was already kind of feeling weird. So like 24 hours, probably would die mentally. I'd be someone else.
I have no voice. Be mute for the rest of my life.
Maybe. It'd be nuts. But yeah, guys, there's been a lot of evidence for Nintendo Direct. We're hyped for Luigi's Mansion. We're hyped for Astral Chain. Dragon Quest, check out the demo. Overwatch is pretty much like 99.9% happening for the Switch. So there's a lot to be excited about. And I mean,
I hope Overwatch has cross save.
I heard that Link's Awakening
Yes.
doesn't have cloud saves apparently.
Yikes!
Apparently,
A big
we're getting
yikes.
various information from various regions, so nobody really knows.
Okay.
But yeah,
I just want Overwatch to have like some kind of cross save thing with your account because
Yeah.
I have like
Fortnite has
200, 300 hours on that game on one platform, and I want all the skins that I have on that platform on my Switch.
Fortnite has.
okay. According to Shadow of Nexus, Link's Awakening does have cloud saves. It'd be so
it-
weird if it didn't.
From last I heard, there's conflicting evidence depending on what region.
It might have been cleared up by this point because
Yeah,
I
it
saw
might
the
have been
tweets
cleared
earlier
up.
in the day. So it just why should it even be a question? Like
Cloud saves on Switch is so weird. I don't understand.
well, I mean, there are some games where I somewhat get it, but I really don't.
No,
Um,
I don't. Yeah.
like cloud saves for Splatoon, like they don't allow it because it's some sort of competitive reasoning. Like,
I feel like you probably make a way around it. Probably.
I already feel like I get gypped when I play some online games anyway. So if you're so that concerned about some hackers, they're gonna hack regardless. I don't think it's worth it, like, to not have cloud saves for some sort of competitive viability. I don't think it impacts it enough for that to, you know what I mean? Like, a cost versus risk. Like, the cost is not worth the risk. Or, yeah.
I don't think you worded that correctly.
I don't know if
I understand what you mean.
Yeah, the risk is not worth the cost. Yes, that's what I meant to say.
That's
Yeah. Or the risk is worth... whatever, man. You guys get it, okay? Just don't...
You've been here too long, Andres.
Right, it's past midnight. Been doing this for over 3 hours and 15 minutes. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure to check out these dudes' channels. I am Shifty. That is Shifty's channel. Link is in the description below. What About Nintendo? That is Brandon's channel. Also, the link is in the description below. Leave a like. I won't cry if you do that. Subscribe if you're new here, or if you haven't watching, you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you like Nintendo stuff, you should do that. And stay tuned for whatever, for a Nintendo Direct or stuff. It's happening. No. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Don't worry about it.
All right. I was like looking at the camera, so I didn't see what I saw, like, on the corner of my eye. Like, all right, man. All right, guys. Have a good night, or whenever you watch this. Take care. See you later.
Later.